Hard sports all place. Hard sports all place. 365, we making a plays. You talking the game, get you through the days. We're high in the court, the dime in the lane. Variety, topics never the same. All presentation, sports information. In the airways, taking the nation. All sport, all plays, like working your faces. Grace at the field, so tie the laces. Hard sports all plays. Network. Hard sports all plays. Network. We on top of our game. Hard sports all plays. Hard sports all plays.
Ladies and gentlemen, children of all ages, that creepy guy that lives behind the gas station, welcome back to ASAP Real Talk. We are here, and we are here to bring you some hot topics today in sports. I tell you what, if you thought yesterday's episode was great, I tell you what, this is a great episode to be a part of as well. We got the four usual boys here and myself, Chris, Freddie, and Coach Cam. And then we also got a first-time appearance. You may know him from the comments section, Mr. Brandon Herrera. I want to welcome everybody to the show. How's everybody feeling tonight? Brandon, I guess we'll give the floor to you. How you doing today? How's it feel to be on the show?
Hey, I'm happy to be on the show. I'm glad I get to join this group and a couple other groups. And I just can't wait to talk about sports. Let's go.
All right, fellas, how's everybody else doing? How we hanging tonight?
Man, I'm good, ready to go. Excited for last show. I'm really excited for today's show.
Chris?
Yeah, I'm good. I can't complain. I just hope Freddie doesn't say anything out of the ordinary that's going to make me get upset. That's not that. But other than that, man, I'm fine. Life is good. You see, I got this Cavaliers jacket on. I don't know why. I just felt like wearing it. But yeah, Coach Cam should be wearing it since he's from Ohio. But that's a different story from a different day.
Nah, I don't wear that stuff. I'm happy. Here for another one. Let's get it. Let's get into it. Let's get into it right away.
Man, I tell you what, I'm having a pretty good day today at work today. I got tipped $5. I got tipped $5 right here. I tell you what, Cam, I know you know something about $5. What can I get with this $5?
Hey, Suzanne Paparazzi Jewelry, home of the paparazzi jewelry and accessories. You can get it for $5, 24/7 shopping available. www.paparazziaccessories.com. Use the code 160920. Get your $5 jewelry. Nice gift for the holidays.
Man, I tell you what. Well, I mean, that was good. No, I'm glad I got tipped $5, but I guess we got to throw that out the window. I ain't got that no more, but I still want something for myself, the jewelry for my girl. Let me get something for me. Chris, what can I get for free around here?
Oh, what you can do is be in the comment section, comment when we're live, and not just ASAP Real Talk, but all the shows, share the page, share this video, like the page, like the video, and the viewer that does that the most at the end of the month will get their very own free ASAP t-shirt.
Personally, I know Brandon be out there. He'd be throwing a bunch of comments out there, but some people aren't exactly like Brandon. Some people are a little hesitant. How can we get that t-shirt otherwise?
Well, yeah, thank you to everybody watching. If you just want to watch, you're not, in the comment, and, still like the page, like the, video. But if you want to buy our shirt, just message us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Search for $25 plus shipping and handling. You're going to get a nice ASAP t-shirt to you ASAP. And Will, just before I just want to address this first comment right here. Freddie is the best. Miss Sheila, I understand the love that you have for Freddie, but when he's on this show, you're going to have to take that love away because he's not the same guy that you know.
Oh man, I tell you what, Freddie, I know you got let's show some love for you too. I know you got some people that you need to shout out real quick.
Man, like Chris said, you can't really see it because it's white. But like Chris said, you can find us on YouTube. You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. But guess where else you can find us? Anchor. If you missed last night's show, go check us out on Anchor. All sports, all plays. You can catch us on our previous shows. You do not want to miss the heat that this show is bringing and any other show on this network. Also, Oregon's Made Mystery Meadows, Jam, and more. Check them out at 48053 Highway 103 South, in Brandon, Oregon. Or if you want to order, you can call them at 541-347-2575. But also, before we move on, Will, I want to let the viewers know something here. Well, this is real talk. We bring the real talk to this network. We have Chris, we have Brandon Herrera, Coach Cam, Will, myself. Anytime you click on this network, you're going to get some real talk. Everything's going to be authentic. So, hey, just tune in Mondays, Tuesdays, and Thursdays, 8:30 p.m. Central. You do not want to miss.
Yes, sir, man. I tell you what, you got me a little hyped up. I think I'm ready to go now. Tell you what, let's get started with a little bit of NFL. We got a handful of topics today on the National Football League. We're going to start off with our typical hot takes. Let's get started with it. We're going to go I went with Coach Cam first yesterday on the hot takes. I'm going to go with Chris today. Chris, I want to get a hot take on the NFL season.
Hot take. Now, my guy Freddie, don't get your feelings hurt when I say this hot take. Here's my hot take, and you might actually agree with me for once in your life. If the Green Bay Packers do not reach the Super Bowl this year, expect, ladies and gentlemen, Aaron Rodgers to demand a trade from Green Bay. Freddie, does that get your approval?
100%.
And let me tell you why he's going to demand a trade. This team has neglected to put talent around him. Now, everybody wants to talk about, he only had one first-round draft pick wide receiver. But, he had some great wide receivers, especially the early career when he was there with Green Bay. But you look at what's going on and what they did in the draft last year, that drafting that quarterback just showed they had no more faith in him. They showed that when his deal is up, they're not going to re-sign him. So if they don't, they showed at the trade deadline, they're not going to put the right necessary pieces around him. They're not going to help the trenches. They're not going to get him more wide receivers, get him better tight ends, help that O-line. They're not going to improve that roster to win now. So if I'm him, I'm saying, okay, I'm still relatively in my prime. I still have good football years ahead of me. I don't want to wait till 2023 till my contract is up. Let me see where I can go. What about San Francisco? What about Denver? Teams that have the right necessary pieces around them that are just missing a quarterback. Brandon, I know you're a Vikings fan. If you can get Aaron Rodgers, would you take him?
Well, we took Favre. So I think Rodgers over Cousins.
I knew he was going to say that, and that's why I asked him. Listen, Aaron Rodgers to me is still a top 5 quarterback in the game. Aaron Rodgers is probably if it wasn't for Patrick Mahomes, Aaron Rodgers is the most talented quarterback to ever step on the football field. This dude can make every single throw in the pocket, outside the pocket. He can extend the play. He can run. Green Bay right now, they're doing him dirty. It's not like Favre where he was throwing 50 interceptions a year. This dude, touchdown to interception ratio is probably one of the best in the NFL. Hey, they need talent around him. If they don't make the Super Bowl this year, expect Aaron Rodgers to demand a trade and expect him to go in the contended team. In my opinion, I would love to see him on the Denver Broncos.
Whew. Tell you what, Aaron Rodgers getting out of the green and gold would definitely be something the NFL may not be ready for. Let's go with you, Freddie. I need a hot take on the NFL season coming from you.
Man, this is called hot takes for a reason. It's to make people upset. It's something that you do not expect.
Oh,
I expect this upcoming season a team out the NFC East finally get to take pride away from themselves. Their owner get the pride out of his heart and finally puts a decent team around their football team. And I hate that I'm saying this. The words that's coming out my mouth. Mama, you might have to come slap me. I'm about to say the Dallas Cowboys. Why did you say that? Because Jerry Jones is tired of losing, ladies and gentlemen. He's tired of being a part of a mediocre team. He's tired of putting a bad product on the field that is not going to produce. He's seen what happened with Dak Prescott. Yes, he should have paid the man. Yes, Dak Prescott should have took the money. We don't know, but guess what? He's fine. Hey, if they get a top 5 draft pick, it's not questionable that they might not draft a quarterback in the draft. And so, you know what, Dak? We don't believe in you. Let's find somebody else. Let's get somebody out in the college league. Why? It's always a good time to build around a quarterback when they're on their rookie contract. But guess what? You don't have a problem like the Rams have a problem. The Eagles have a problem because guess what? They overpaid for a quarterback, and guess what? It hurt that team in the salary cap spot. Yes, they are hurt because they can. Hey, I'm saying it, Chris. Hey,
who team is hurt? If you're going to speak right, speak facts. My team not hurt because of the signing of Carson Wentz. If you're going to speak on my team in a negative light, Bring
How,
some facts.
how much salary cap do you guys have left over there in Philadelphia?
You realize all our salaries on our defense, not our offense.
But you overpaid for a
No,
quarterback.
you don't overpay for your franchise quarterback. Quarterback is the position that you have to overpay for.
No.
Yes,
he
it
was
is.
not worth that contract. He didn't win y'all the Super Bowl. That was
Freddie,
that's Nick Foles there,
I'm not trying to do this today. I'm not.
Me neither.
Then stop bringing up useless facts that have no merit. Everybody knows Nick Foles is not the reason why we won. Yes, he was I'm not even gonna get into it. I'm not replying. Freddie, please don't do this to yourself today. I'm really not trying to embarrass you because I know Mom Dukes is here watching. I'm not trying to embarrass you in front of Dukes. I'm not trying to do that to you. So please just move on. I don't want to hurt you. Please just move on. I'm not trying to hurt your feelings like that.
Disrespect.
All right, let's move on. Let's go over to Coach Cam. Coach Cam, we need a hot take on the NFL season.
Hey, a lot of people has counted out the Saints now because Drew Brees' injuries, like he's gonna be out, out for the year. I'm here to say Jameis Winston gonna lead them to the NFC South title. Get and earn some respect throughout the league, and you're gonna see him as a starter somewhere next year. I just have faith in James. I don't know why. I know he threw 30 interceptions. I know, he makes mistakes, but he can throw the ball. Like Jameis Winston can throw the ball. And remember, he couldn't see. He had LASIK surgery. Like he could not see. Like, so I think that helps in a sense. And he had a half a season to learn from a veteran and a great like Drew Brees. I think this helps Jameis Winston. And I think that I know everybody counting them out and automatically want to put Tampa Bay in there after how they looked against Carolina. But that's what Tampa Bay do. They feast on teams like that. You know what I mean? So I still see New Orleans Saints and Jameis Winston leading them to the NFC South title.
Coach Cam, let me piggyback on that hot take. We talking about hot takes with the Saints. Here's my hot take. Jameis Winston is going to start for the rest of the year. Drew Brees is not coming back, and Drew Brees is going to retire after this year, and they're going to sign. Oh, did I take it?
Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry, Will.
Man.
I'm sorry, Will.
No.
Well, kill it for me. Kill it for me. Pretend I ain't say nothing.
Oh man, you didn't say nothing, man.
I didn't say nothing. If you might as well just take it now, Will.
Oh man,
take it now, Will.
I was gonna take a moment of silence for the young Brees.
Run with it.
I thought that this when we look at this injury, at first they said that it's going to take 2 or 3 weeks. Are you kidding me? This man cracked or fractured 4 ribs or 5 ribs, one or the other, and he collapsed a lung. This is nothing to come back from all of a sudden. I know this isn't a 2 or a 3 week injury. This is serious stuff. And I can't imagine that Drew Brees is going to be any type of confident in a pocket anymore anytime in the NFL. I know he's come out and said on Twitter that, this isn't his last time. I'll be back in no time, anything like that. But I'm going to ride with Coach Cam. I'm going to ride with Chris here. I think Jameis is going to play great. I think Jameis is going to flourish in that system a little bit. I think Sean Payton's a great offensive mind. And I think we may have actually seen the last game of Drew Brees in his NFL career. I think we may have actually seen it this last Sunday. I think that him going down like that it's not the greatest way to go out. I tell you what, it sucks. But I tell you what, man, I think we may be at the end of the career for number 9 out there in black and gold, man. And it's tough. Drew Brees is one of the greats. He's been up there in every single category, man. He's always been seen as an underdog, only at 6 foot or 6'1". Everybody's always doubted him all the way through his career. But I tell you what, he really kind of put the city of New Orleans on his back. I mean, I think a lot of people had hope, especially after Hurricane Katrina, especially with him there, especially going through a football team, winning a championship. I know a lot of people out there in New Orleans would only say great things about Drew Brees, but I think it's finally come to an end. So unfortunate, I know, but that's my little hot take there on Drew Brees. I mean, I was right there with Chris and Cam there. I'm not going to lie, but
I have a question for you, Will.
What's that?
And, anybody else can feel free to chime in. So say Drew Brees retires. Do you think Jameis Winston can lead this team far into the playoffs, possibly a Super Bowl? Because personally, I'm going to just keep it brief. I do believe he has the talent to do it. I think he's in a better system with the Saints. And honestly, they have a gem right here. Your, franchise QB, the best QB ever in that franchise. He retires, and then you have a great backup of Jameis Winston. I think they lucked out right now, and they might as well just give him the keys now and let him ride.
Now, I tell you what, man, I think this is going to be not a blessing, because it's not a blessing to lose your franchise guy. It's not a guy to lose the face of the franchise for so long. But I tell you what, I would argue that Jameis Winston has a bit more arm talent than Drew Brees, at least in this year. I think whenever it comes down to it, if you need a deep ball, I think if you need a deeper pass or maybe even a 20, 15, 20-yard play, I think your better bet is to go with the arm talent of Winston. I think Winston is seen as a gunslinger. I mean, we've seen it. I mean, the man threw 30 and 30 last season. But I think he's I think he's fearless. I think he'll go out there and he'll just try to make the offensive play. Yeah, it's going to lead you into some bad interceptions. It may lead you into some bad reads and everything such as that. But I think whenever it comes down to it, I think it kind of takes the roof off of the Saints offense. I think it takes away the conservatism of it. I think things are going to get way more aggressive out there in New Orleans. And I think it's going to be really interesting to see.
Let me touch on that. If they do that, if they pull that and start Taysom Hill, I hope they lose every game.
Me too. Especially to my Eagles. Especially to my Eagles.
Every game.
That is.
They gotta go with Winston.
Yeah, we all know that. I doubt those reports are. If they didn't start him when they had Bridgewater, they're not going to start him when they have Jameis.
No way. All right, bring us home here, Brandon. I need a hot take on the NFL season.
Oh, let's see. Well, I'm going to concede the division to the Packers for the Vikings. I think they're going to move up in the draft and get themselves a quarterback. Probably try to get to number one, but I don't think they got the assets. So if they can get somewhere in the top 5 and maybe move Cousins, which I wish they would, but I see the Vikings sneaking into the top 5 to get a quarterback.
There you go.
No more Kirk Cousins. I'm not mad at you.
I think every single one of our hot takes involved the quarterback today. I think so.
Yeah.
I mean, I heard Dak's name. I heard Aaron Rodgers. I heard Cousins. Now we're hearing Breeze. I mean, it just Winston. I mean, the quarterback play is definitely up in question for a lot of teams right now. But let's talk about a team that definitely has some quarterbacks and some question marks at the quarterback position. Let's move on to yesterday's game between my Bears and Brandon's Vikings. I tell you what, I'm going to go with Freddie first. I'm going to hit everybody else before I throw myself up there and I talk about my Bears for a minute. But Freddie, let's get your opinion on this game.
Are you sure you want to go first? Me go first, or you?
I tell you what, no, you know what? I want to hear Brandon later, and I guess I will get to you later. So I'll go to Coach Cam. Coach Cam, let's get your opinion on this game last night.
It was a defensive struggle. I don't know if I want to call it a defensive struggle or just two bad offenses going at it. But the Nick Foles, man, I don't understand why Mitch Trubisky was benched. I don't understand how you bench a guy for having one bad half and he's 2-0 as a starter during the season. You don't do that. I don't care what circumstance. That's clearly showing you that, hey, we are going with this guy because we're paying him $20 million. That's why we need to see if he can play. If he can play. That's the only reason why this happened. And you know what? The Bears really have a good defense, and they're wasting it. They're wasting it week in and week out. And it's unfortunate because you traded all of that to get Mitch Trubisky. You traded all this draft capital to get Mac. So you wasn't able to really make your squad better in other places. And it shows, especially on the offensive side of the ball. They just can't score enough points. And with the Vikings, they need a quarterback. They need one bad. I like Justin Jefferson. I like Dalvin Cook. I like Thielen still. The line is not even in bad in Minnesota. I understand their defense. It's young. They lost a lot of veterans. They lost a lot of, staples in that defense Minnesota did. So, but all in all, man, it was a solid defensive struggle. But Bears, I'm disappointed in them because I really thought they could contend for an NFC North title. And I think they would have if they would have kept Mitch Trubisky in there instead of Nick Foles.
Tell you what, Chris, let's get your opinions on that game.
And everybody told me the Eagles should have kept Nick Foles over Carson Wentz. I mean, what has he shown you? What has this dude really shown? He played terrible this game. He came back and he played good when they played the Falcons. Other than that, he's been an average quarterback. So please tell me why, the Eagles should have kept them. But it's not about the Eagles. Let's talk about the Bears. To me, this really reminds me of the Jaguars. How they had a great defense, it was wasting it because the offense was so bad and they didn't add the right pieces to that offense. I mean, everybody clowns Mitchell Trubisky, myself included, but at the end of the day, he played 2-0 and had a bad, start to a game. That does not mean bench him. I understand why you did, but at some point when you're seeing Nick Foles isn't playing any better, why not go to the guy you drafted so high? So I think it's problems with that organization. And then the offense is just bad. I mean, Allen Robinson, he's a good weapon. Cordell Patterson, but they just have their offense is bad play calling, not enough players. And like Coach Cam said, they're wasting that defense. This defense is one of the best defenses in the NFL. That's why I said this reminds me of the Jaguars. But at least the Jaguars had a good running game. This team right here, they can't run the ball. They had less than 50, rushes on only 17 attempts. So, I mean, I don't know what's going on with the Bears. When I look at the Vikings, I don't like their quarterback, but he finally won a Monday night game. I mean, like he's 1-9 in his career. Some of the craziest stats I've ever seen. I love Dalvin Cook. I love Jefferson. I like Thielen. I like some of the players that they had. Now I had the Vikings being a disappointment because they lost so many guys on defense, and the loss of Stephon Diggs. I knew it was going to be a bad season for them, but I still like some of the pieces they have for the future. They just have to get a new quarterback and look to revitalize that defense.
Brandon, are you tooting your horn over there in Minnesota? Are you a big fan of what you saw last night, or what are your thoughts on?
No, you're not. You're not a big fan of that game. I mean, Dalvin Cook barely got going. I think he got close to 100. Kirk Cousins, he finally won a primetime game. They got weapons, and the offensive line is inconsistent consistently, I guess. We do need a quarterback. I mean, we need somebody that can run, that can scramble a little bit, get time for Jefferson and Thielen to get open down deep. Their defense, I think yesterday I saw they had 13 guys out on the defense side of the ball, either out or on the IR. So that hurts. But I wasn't expecting Dalvin Cook to blow up for 200. I mean, the Bears defense is solid. Vikings haven't been able to play well there in years. So I actually kind of thought after the first drive or so that I thought the Bears were going to take it. I really thought it was going to be Bears game. Vikings were going to pull that disappearing act where we get 3 to 6 points. But, I'll take the win. But, I mean, the Vikings cannot lose if they want to make the playoffs now.
All right, let's hear it, Freddie. I don't like that smile. All right, that smile has bad intentions. Let's hear it.
No, I mean, I'm piggybacking off what Coach Cam said. I mean, this French fry, this franchise is dysfunctional. Yeah, I am. This franchise is dysfunctional. When you do not know who your quarterback is, you draft a quarterback high in the draft, and then he plays bad for one game, like Chris said. Then you pull him. And then you bring a veteran in by Nick Foles. So, I mean, that's just a problem in itself. This defense with Khalil Mack, man, I mean, hey, this can be a hot take too. I mean, it really shouldn't be a hot take, just facts. If this team cannot turn it around, this dude is going to want out of Chicago, and he should want out of Chicago because you're talking about one of the best defensive players to ever play the game, and you just wasting a team. He's on your team, and you're just wasting his talent like this. Man, you guys, Chicago – you guys need to get your act together. You need to figure out who's your quarterback and get things rolling. Before we get up here, Chris, you can take me off the big screen, but he's a Bears fan, right? So I think it's time for a rant moment for him.
Oh, give me that whole screen. I need a little bit of time with everybody that's listening right now. Will Foles continue to be? That's disgusting. Let's not even pay attention to that. Let's talk about all the problems that this Bears team has, because we don't have a lot of NFL topics today, so I got some time to talk about it. Let's get oh my goodness, where do I begin? Okay, so the only number one reason that this offense is somewhat competent is because of Allen Robinson. So let's start at the top. Let's start at the GM, Ryan Pace. Ryan Pace, you are the man in charge of the contracts. Why have you not given this man a contract extension? This is the only guy in on the offense that looks competent. I mean, last night we did not score an offensive touchdown against a bottom 10 NFL defense. When you look at yards per game, when you look at passing yards per game, the Vikings are the bottom of the barrel. They're not dead last, but they're down there in the bottom 10. And you know what Nick Foles did? And you know what that Minnesota Vikings did all over Nick Foles? They went, they said, get out of here, Nick Foles. You're nothing. And to be fair, he is nothing. He's a waste of a quarterback spot. He is a waste of salary cap. And you know what? Because of people like that, we're not going to be able to pay somebody like Allen Robinson, who has made people like Hackenberg look good, make people like Blake Bortles look good, make somebody like Nick Foles look somewhat decent. I mean, it is absolutely embarrassing what we are doing with this organization. And Freddie, you're right. Freddie, so many people are going to be looking at this side, especially on the defensive side of the ball. So there are some generational names on there. You got Khalil Mack, you got Akeem Hicks, you got Eddie Jackson, you got Kyle Fuller, even Jalen Johnson, the rookie's been playing great, Roquan Smith. I mean, all of these players got to leave at some point, right? There's no way with the way that this offense runs that they are ever going to be happy with this team. It starts at the top. Ryan Pace, you need to get out of here. Matt Nagy, get out of town. Bill Lazor, thanks for coming. Thanks for calling one game. Go ahead and follow your coach right out. Chuck Pagano is the only bright spot on the coaching staff of the front office of anything when this comes to this team. But whenever you have those guys, how could you not? I mean, this defense is stacked. Anybody could come in here and be a defensive mind. I think we need to just burn it down. Burn down the Chicago Bears. I mean, there is no good thing about it. No matter what our defense does, our offense will never be in a point that we can ever withstand this defense. I mean, when your defense is out there on the field for 80% of the game, they're not going to succeed. And because of that, we're never going to win a game. I think we are absolutely terrible. Don't be shocked if we start dropping games to somebody like the Jags or the Texans later on in the season. And I'm sick and tired of it, man. I'm tired of it. We need to get rid of them all. I can take myself off the big screen now. I mean, I don't need any of this. I mean, this is absolutely pitiful. Pitiful, I tell you. And anybody who's out here looking at Nick Foles and still saying that you should take Nick Foles over Carson Wentz, if you're an Eagles fan, stop it. Stop it right now. I mean, 100 yards. 100 yards in 4 quarters. It's not like he played half a game. Drew Brees put up more than that, and he was missed half the game. All right, oh my God, that's terrible.
You know, Will, I'm just going to piggyback off what you said. You realize the only people that make those comments are people that are not real fans of the Eagles and real fans of the Bears. People that don't watch those teams collectively, they think because of one moment that he never played any other years of his career. They think that Super Bowl run was the only time Nick Foles was ever a quarterback. And they just live off that. It's just funny. But I'm not going to dive into this topic. Freddie, you're shaking your head. I'm not trying to embarrass you in front of your mom, so don't even say nothing.
Hey, Will, just off of that comment, what you just said, people don't realize that Nick Foles fit best in that Philadelphia Eagles system. That he actually played that role.
No.
Let's not act like.
I had to mute Freddie. I'm sorry, because he's lying to y'all. This is supposed to be real talk, and I'm tired of people lying to people. There was a different play caller when Nick Foles made that Super Bowl run. There was a different scheme and system. Why? Because somebody different was calling the plays. Let's not act like the same play caller we have right now was the same play caller we had back then. No, it was completely different. So don't act like, thank you, Nick Foles cannot throw. We all noticed it was a different system in place. That's why this is a new system. So please stop saying he fits best in Philly when he never played in this. He never played in this system.
He made y'all wide receivers. He brought the life out of y'all wide receivers. When y'all wide receivers was dead.
When were they dead? When were they dead?
He made them step up to a whole. I'm talking. He made them step up to a whole nother level. He inspired that team to play harder. And this is what Carson Wentz cannot do because he's not a leader. He wants to be the man. And sometimes you have to fall back and be the leader. And that's what you got from Nick Foles to be that leader for that team.
Coach Cam, I gotta go after this.
To a Super Bowl.
Okay, now listen, let me tell you why. This is why we call it Freddie Mr. Delusional. And let me tell you why he should never talk about my Philadelphia Eagles again, because I'm going to embarrass him. Man, Sheila, if you're watching this, you need to text your son and tell him stop it. Okay, listen. You realize we were when Carson Wentz got injured, right? When somebody blew out his knee. You know, let me tell you what happened that season. You realize we were the number 1 scoring offense, right? Who was the quarterback? Carson Wentz. You know, the receivers were looking very, very nice. When who was the quarterback? Carson Wentz. Who had the most touchdowns in the league? When he got injured, Carson Wentz. Okay, so how did he make my receivers?
So where's that dude at now?
Oh my God, where's Nick Foles at right now? You realize he just now got all his healthy receivers. The entire year he was playing with rookies and backups. So what are you talking about? When has Nick Foles really ever inspired somebody? Because if you're talking about he inspires people, what is he doing right now in Chicago? Then they lose their last 4 games. So how inspiring is that?
He's not good in Chicago. He's good in Philadelphia.
He's not good anywhere.
You realize? All right, we're moving on. Because
he did this 2 years in a row. First year he won the Super Bowl. Then the second year, when your team was about to fall, who came in to save the day?
Not Nick Foles. Oh my!
This
playoff run. From somebody that does not watch football. First of all, Nick Foles had us losing in the beginning of the year. Carson Wentz had to come back early when he was still injured that season because Nick Foles was playing so bad. Stop acting like you know everything about Nick Foles. Because if you know everything about Nick Foles, you realize he had that one good Super Bowl run. He had one good season coming in as a backup. Every time he was supposed to start, it was a starting QB. He played like trash. So please, Freddie Henderson, stop acting like Nick Foles is Tom Brady. The stats are right there. When this dude is a starter, he's one of the worst quarterbacks in the league. He's a known backup. Okay, he should be coming up the bench, backing up a quarterback, not starting that. The stats say it. Stop lying to these people. This is supposed to be real talk. Freddie Henderson, you never give any real talk. You're going on mute, and we're moving on.
And Will, real quick, I can tell you right now, Bill Lazor ain't gonna do you no good. He used to be the OC for the Bengals. No good for you. I mean, you're going to get what you got last night. I don't understand. Matt Nagy could have kept calling the plays for that. I mean, 105 yards. But you're going to see, man, I feel sorry for you because, you know, Bill Lazor is definitely not going to improve that offense.
I tell you what, man, I'm about willing to go out there. I get better plays from Ask Madden. I mean, I tell you what, this has been absolutely awful. I mean, terrible, monumentally bad because you know what Nick Foles has done? Nick Foles has inspired Bears fans that Mitch Trubisky is a somewhat competent quarterback. That's what Nick Foles has done in Chicago. He has made us believe in number 10 out there. And I tell you what, I can name at least I can tell you every single other quarterback in the league. I don't care who you are, would put up at least what Nick Foles put up against Minnesota's passing offense. I don't want to hear it about Nick Foles. Nothing. I don't want to hear it, and we're going to move on because I'm not sitting here. I'm not living for it. So I'm the moderator. We're moving on. All right. So
please
let's bring up some quarterbacks that are at least playing decent. Let's actually talk about somebody that makes their team happy somewhat. Let's talk about 3 men that are in some MVP conversation, at least for now. We're going to talk about Josh Allen of the Buffalo Bills. We're going to talk about AR-12 up there in Green Bay. And we're going to mention Russell Wilson out there in the NFC West trying to carry his Seattle Seahawks to a divisional win. I'm going to start with Brandon Herrera. Let's hear it. I want 1 through 3. Let's rank these quarterbacks. Feel free to start at the top or the bottom, whichever you prefer.
I'm going to start at the top. I'm going to go with the bad man out of Green Bay, Aaron Rodgers. I mean, there ain't much to say about that we haven't said about him. I mean, he's going to lead them to the playoffs, and I hate to say it, but I am pulling for him to win the Super Bowl this year due to respect for my aunt that passed away. So I am pulling for the Packers to win it for her. Allen, I've liked Allen. I think he's number 2 right now. And Russell Wilson, I have a feeling they're going to lose on Thursday, and he's going to drop out of the MVP race.
Ooh.
So
that might be odd.
Those are my top 3.
All right, hot take.
There you go. All right. So we got AR-12, Josh Allen, and Russell Wilson for Brandon. I'm going to move over to Coach Cam. Where do you rank these 3 quarterbacks?
You know what? I was thinking about it and I was looking. But I was trying to find a reason to not put Aaron Rodgers up there. You know, I was trying to get on Freddie nerves, but I couldn't. Aaron Rodgers is number 1 on this list. Number 2, I know it's this. I know he's struggling. I'm still going Russell Wilson. I know he's had some turnovers. You know, I know he hasn't played his best ball. But however, you know, as of late, but he got 28 touchdowns. Like, you know what I mean? He's on the pace to, you know, throw 50 plus touchdowns still. You know, we know you know how his line is, and sometimes, you know, with that defense, I think Russell Wilson just getting to the point where he feel like he got to make every play, like every play got to be the play, and I think he's forcing it a little bit. If he just reel it back just a little bit and be the Russell that we know, I mean, he's still Russell Wilson. I think he's still one of the best, and I go give it to Josh Allen, and that's another slight on Josh Allen at being number 3. He's in the mix for the MVP race as well. I just feel like those other 2 guys are better. You know, and Josh Allen's his improvement is great. Like, you know what I mean? I do like where he's at. You know, they finally gave him a competent weapon. You know, and they made everybody else flourish. So now you got Cole Beasley doing his thing and everything like that. So yeah, I do like Josh Allen, but I just got him at 3.
Freddie, where you stand on these 3?
Number 1, he's a bad man. And Aaron Rodgers. Yeah, I said it. He should be MVP. We talked about it yesterday. Why is he not? Why, y'all said Patrick Mahomes. Why? Look at this dude. This dude's putting up 26 touchdowns, had 3 interceptions. Guess what? And he's done this. He's doing this on a team does not have the same weapons as Patrick Mahomes. This dude is balling. This dude is the back, the heart, the soul, the spleen, everything. The Green Bay Packers. Without him, guess what? They're nothing. Number 2 is Russell Wilson. I mean, let's not be disrespectful. Like Chris said, this dude have 28 touchdowns. This dude is balling. Yes, he has the 10 interceptions, but guess what? He's still Russell Wilson. He still will go out there and dominate. Not every Sunday, Thursday, Monday Night Football, it does not matter. And Russell Wilson can remind us this Thursday against the Cardinals why he's that bad man. And last, there's no disrespect, Josh Allen is a bad man. We seen what he did when he gave when he got Stephon Diggs. They're balling. That Bills team is not a joke, you know, and it's because of Josh Allen because he's having an MVP type season this year. But that's my top 3 right there.
Chris, where do you stand on these 3?
Man, I just want to say if last week would have been a little bit different, this list would be completely different for me. But because what I saw last week, the list kind of changed. You know, number 1, I'm going Russell Wilson. You know, no disrespect to all these quarterbacks to all balling out. But when I look at Russell Wilson, I mean, you know, the 10 interceptions, I'm not mad at that because this is the most he ever thrown so far in his career. And he's on pace to break the touchdown record. 28 touchdowns is close to being, you know, the most he's ever had. He's dominating right now at the quarterback position. And this dude's been sacked 30 times. So what does that tell you? He's having to do all these things with a terrible offensive line. He's still making play with a terrible offensive line. And in my opinion, if you're a quarterback with a bad offensive line and you can still make plays, you can still throw the ball and still be a great quarterback and a great leader, that deserves a lot of respect. So he's my number 1, 28 touchdowns. He's balling out this year. Number 2, like I said, if last week would have been different, things would have been different. But number 2, I do have Aaron Rodgers. You know, I've been an Aaron Rodgers fan, you know, ever since he's been playing in Green Bay. This dude right here is a baller. This year, you know, these are typical Aaron Rodgers numbers. You know, he's going to have about a 68% completion percentage. You know, his touchdown to interception ratio is going to be immaculate. 26 touchdowns to 3 interceptions. You know, like Freddie said, he doesn't have any weapons. But, you know, this dude, you know, him and Tom Brady do something very, very well that doesn't get enough credit. You know, people say they don't have weapons, but they realize they make the players around them better because they're so accurate and they make the right plays. They're not always putting their wide receivers in the worst position, so they're making it easier for them. Plus, the play calling is good right there, you know. And I'm not going to say his wide receivers are trash because they were trash. They would never be in the NFL. But they aren't the big name players that everybody knows, so people call them trash. I don't understand that. I don't like it. But number 3, I have Josh Allen. I will say that if Josh Allen would have won last week, he would have been my number 2. Why? Because Josh Allen is balling out right now for a guy that he's finally having a number 1 wide receiver next to him is Stephon Diggs. And them two together, you can really argue that they're the best quarterback wide receiver tandem in the NFL. That's how much they're balling out. Stephon Diggs is having a career year. Josh Allen's having a career year, 21 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. He's been sacked 20 times. So, you know, his O-line isn't the best. You know, his completion percentage is right around 69. This dude's leading NFL, passing yards. I know he has some bad games, but name a quarterback that has never had a bad game. All quarterbacks have bad games here and there. Josh Allen, if they would have won, he'd have been my number 2. No disrespect. But I love what this young quarterback is doing in the NFL right now.
No, I love Josh Allen. I've been really high on Josh Allen since he came out of the draft. You know, Wyoming's not exactly the sexy name of a college or anything whenever you're getting a quarterback prospect. But I tell you what, that arm talent is second to very few in the NFL. I tell you what, that kid's electric when it comes to a deep ball. But Whenever I'm looking at it, I hate to do it as a Bears fan, but I have to put Aaron Rodgers at 1. I have to. I mean, it comes down to efficiency for me. I mean, the guy has been so efficient with the ball, leading the NFL in QBR. He's leading it in total rating. I mean, the guy has been absolutely outstanding whenever it comes to possession. I mean, it's what he's known for. It really is what he's known for. For a guy who can sling the ball down the field like he does, to have the accuracy, the poise, and to not have the turnovers is absolutely outstanding. And he's doing it again this season. I mean, I don't think he's my MVP, but I'd say that he is probably number 1 whenever it comes to these 3 quarterbacks. Number 2, I'm going to go with Russell Wilson. I think whenever you look at it, and we've mentioned it multiple times on this show, without Russell Wilson, the Seattle Seahawks team probably doesn't have a win. I mean, this team is at the bottom of the barrel. Whenever it comes down to somebody who is the most valuable to their team, Russell Wilson has got to be right at the top of the list. I mean, the guy he has 10 interceptions, but as mentioned, he's on pace to beat the NFL record for touchdowns, and I think that needs to be highlighted a little bit. You wouldn't exactly expect Russell Wilson to be the name to do so, but I mean, the guy's balling out this season. And number 3, I hate to say it, but Josh Allen, he is leading the NFL in passing yards and everything such as that, but he does finally have a weapon. I think last year it kind of showed a little bit that he could be a great quarterback, and he was not. I mean, his wide receiver core was question marks, man. I mean, there was no telling who was out there running routes for Buffalo. But now you add Stephon Diggs, and I agree with Chris there. I really like that tandem there. I think it's definitely one of the better ones in the NFL, and I think it really is going to be a great tandem for years to come. But I think next year you'll see a little bit more of Josh Allen, even more than you're getting this year. I think it's just going to come with time. So right now I'm going to go with that as my top 3. So we're going to move on here. That's all the NFL topics that we have to mention today. But before we move on to go into some hot topics of the NBA, Chris, we see some comments. We've seen them be coming up today. What can those comments get you if you keep it up?
Yes, I see everybody in the comments. Thank you for commenting. I see the likes. Thank you for liking. Keep commenting on the video. Keep liking the video, liking the page, sharing the page. And at the end of the month, we're going to tally everything up. And the viewer that does that the most is going to be crowned the viewer of the month. And that's going to get you a free ASAP Network t-shirt.
And if let's say that, I've already liked, I've shared, I've done all that, but I may be a little bit shy when it comes to the comments section. How else could I get that t-shirt?
Well, still, thank you everybody for liking and sharing. And if you just like watching and don't like commenting, you can still get a t-shirt. Message us on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. Search for $25 plus shipping and handling. You're going to get a nice ASAP t-shirt ASAP.
All righty. That brings us into our NBA topics for today. We're going to start with a hot take per usual. I'm going to start with Coach Cam. Coach Cam, I'm going to go to you first again for the hot takes. Let's hear a hot take on the NBA right now.
Hot take on the NBA. Hot take on the NBA. It's funny. Everybody's saying Harden wants to go here. Harden wants to go to Brooklyn. He wants to go to Philly. Those are his destinations. Russell Westbrook wants out. Houston is going to try to keep them. And I predict both of them will hold out and sit out until they are traded. I think Houston is not going to be in a rush to make a move for them too. Everybody's rushing them, but Houston got the cards. They can wait and see what people are willing to give up. They don't want to rush and make a deal here with either one. I think they really want to try to keep them still and see if it can make it work. So I think this is going to be stretched out longer than what we think. I don't think it's going to be anything traded right away. I think we're all waiting, but I think it's going to be a little minute, and I think it's going to be to a point where they're going to have to hold out to get a trade.
All right. Maybe see a little bit of sitting and waiting. Freddie, let's go to you. I need a hot take on the NBA.
Man, it's funny that Coach Cam talking about James Harden. Because, wow, that was going to be my hot take. Let's go. Let's say if he is traded to Brooklyn, my hot take is they're not going to win a championship at all. Why? Because you're talking about two dudes that need to have the ball in their hand. We seen KD do his thing with the Splash Brothers. That we seen that he was able to play off the ball at times. But are we sure that James Harden and Kyrie Irving can coexist? Are we sure that Kyrie Irving is going to say, okay, James, you can be the point guard. I don't want the ball in my hand. Are we sure James Harden is going to be okay with not giving 30 points a night? Who's going to play defense on this team? We don't know. Who's going to guard a player like a Kawhi Leonard, a Kevin Durant, LeBron James? We don't know. And guess what? It's going to be too much for a Steve Nash as the coach. Yes, You have Mike D'Antoni as your assistant coach, but guess what? We know the problem with Mike D'Antoni. The D do not stand for defense, and he's not giving you defense. This team will not win a championship. This team will fall to the king in LA, and we know who that is. I shouldn't say who. I don't have to say any names. We already know who I'm talking about.
Chris, I see the gears turning. I think I need to turn it over to you.
Listen, that's why I call Freddie Mr. Delusional. I really don't think he knows any sports at all. I don't think he watches sports. I just think he looks at topics and says not smart things about them. So before I give my hot take, let me tell you why if James Harden is traded to the Brooklyn Nets, why it works. In our group chat earlier, I said the Boston Celtics need a center. Freddie said there's free agency. So you talking about the Nets need defense. Freddie, there's free agency. You act like the season's about to start tomorrow. They can still, and they will, sign defenders in free agency. So let me tell you why those three players work before I go into my hot take. Let's see. Kyrie Irving played. You call him the king, right? Where they play at? Cleveland, right? Who's the real playmaker? LeBron. Kyrie Irving played with a guy that's more ball dominant than him. Kyrie Irving knows how to play off the ball. Kyrie Irving also played in Boston where he had young killers over there with him. And he played a little bit of off the ball. Let's not act like Kyrie Irving is the guy that dribbles and make all the passes and all the plays. That's not Kyrie Irving's game. He knows how to play off the ball. He knows how to get buckets but he can get others involved. Kevin Durant played in Golden State, so he knows how to play off the ball. James Harden in this year he played with Russell Westbrook, and for 2 or 3 years, the dude played with Chris Paul. Let's not forget, in the beginning of his career with OKC, he was playing with who? Russell Westbrook and Kevin Durant. So he knows how to play on and off the ball. All these dudes been in systems where they all had the chance to be on the ball dominant, look for a shot, and they all had a chance to be off the ball and play more off the ball. So these guys are going to work fine. You're talking about it's going to be a lot on Steve Nash. Not when you're a player coach, you know what it takes to win. Now when you have great coaches around you and a great system around you, it's not going to be enough on the coach. Why? Because all the players know what they're there for. Steve Nash, D'Antoni, all the coaches know what they're there for. So let me get into my hot take. I'm going to stick in the East, and I'm going to dive into this when we talk later in our topics. But it's a team called the Milwaukee Bucks that made some interesting moves. Y'all know what they are. But I'm going to tell you, and we're going to get into them later. I'm telling you right now, it's not going to be enough. It's not going to be enough. They got a good point guard. They got a good scorer. But you talking about a head coach, to me, that's not the right head coach for this team. Because what does he do? He likes to go 10, 11, 12 deep. Even in the playoffs, he likes to do that. And then what did they do so far with their first 2 trades? Got rid of their entire bench. So you mean to tell me this team is going to be good when a head coach wants to play a star player only 30 minutes a game? Who's going to come off the bench and give you scoring? Who's going to come off the bench and give you defense? Who's going to come off the bench and give you shooting? So my hot take is, 1, they're not even going to make the Eastern Conference Finals next year because of the head coach. And 2, when they do not do that, they're going to realize they gave up too much for just to keep Giannis happy, because Giannis is not going to sign that Supermax 5-year extension. Giannis is going to take his talents to Dallas, and the Mavericks are going to be the best team in the NBA for the next 15 years. I think the Milwaukee Bucks made terrible moves. They gave up too much. Then they forgot who their head coach was. The dude wants to play 12 people. He doesn't play 8, 9, and he doesn't play superstar 38 to 40 minutes like regular coaches do. No, he let Giannis take breathers. And so with that being said, it's going to hurt them, especially in the playoffs. And this team's not going to be good. They're going to have a good starting 5, but how the head coach been coaching for the past couple of years, they're not going to be good in the playoffs because, who's going to back them up?
Sheesh. Tell you what, man, there are a lot of key additions over there in Milwaukee that we're definitely going to get into. But tell you what, still not enough, according to Chris. I'm going to move to you, Brandon. I need a hot take on the NBA.
Well, I'm going to go with my Wolves. And I hate to say it, I think they're going to draft Ball number 1. And I believe if there's another trade deadline this year or even at the end of this upcoming year, I think they're going to move on his brother and bring them both to the Wolves.
Which brother? Lonzo or Jello? The one that's in NBA?
Yeah, they're going to draft. They're going to draft the number 1, and then they're going to make a move for the one that's playing for Vancouver, I think, or somewhere.
You playing the so you give up? Would you, as a Timberwolves fan, would you give up D'Angelo Russell for Lonzo Ball?
I don't know if I would do that because I know Cat likes Russell. I may give up the 17th for him, but I don't know if that's going to be enough. But
that'd definitely be enough.
Yeah, but I it would not surprise me as much as I know they got talent, but as much as their dad ran their mouth when the other brother was coming in, I don't like it. But you got to go with talent. So There's my hot take.
There you go.
Well, before you go, I just want to say why. He talking about Lonzo going to Timberwolves. This is why I think Lonzo would be a better fit for the Timberwolves than D'Angelo Russell. Because you get LaMelo, then who's going to be that guard defender? At least Lonzo can play make, and the brother can do all the scoring. Lonzo can be the defender. Whether then you have D'Angelo Russell and LaMelo, and it's going to be a question of the defensive end. That's just my take on that. But Will, floor is yours, my friend.
Yeah, no, I agree with you, Chris.
I'm just hoping they don't mess it up for you, Brandon. Minnesota on my list of teams that can't go wrong.
Will go wrong. That's the new saying.
Well, I got a point for that later on. So
there you go. I'll tell you what, man. I'm trying to think of a hot take here on the NBA season that people who watch know it's not exactly my forte, but I tell you what. I like what Coach Cam said about Harden and Westbrook both sitting out. I don't know if Brooklyn's going to be the team that goes and gets Harden. I've seen a couple reports, and actually I want to say Chris was the one who shared this in our little chat before we got on, but I saw something along the lines of that the Celtics are trying to move out both. Oh, it was Coach Cam. Okay, that the Celtics are both trying to move out Gordon Hayward and Kemba Walker just to try in an attempt to go get James Harden. And I think that could happen. I don't see why that couldn't happen. I've already seen a couple reports about a lot of teams asking about Gordon Hayward. I don't know why the man's got glass bones or paper skin, but I mean, he could help an NBA team when he's on the court. And I mean, Kemba's going to be a great addition to any team that he goes to, and he's going to help out quite a bit. But I mean, why not the Celtics? I know it's a very big player league. I know a lot of the times the players get exactly what they want, but I think that you would take I think you're going to take what you're going to get from a team before you take what a player wants, especially if there's hard feelings in the organization. I could see a bigger package coming from the Boston Celtics than I could from the Brooklyn Nets. I don't think Brooklyn Nets want to kind of part ways with so many names that they may want to try to get out of them, such as
they will. They're throwing the sink in. A lot of reports saying they're throwing it everybody. Listen, when you look at Brooklyn, people forget how deep they are. So I knew they were going to trade away some of these players. Oh, they have a lot of expendable players on this team. They have 2 or 3, at key positions like center. Then you have Dinwiddie and LeVert. You have Prince. You can do a sign and trade with Joe Harris. So they have enough draft and picks. They have enough draft player capital to make some moves.
Okay. It's all a matter of time. It really is. We'll find out where exactly he ends up, if he ends up anywhere.
I have a question for Coach Ken.
What's up?
You, my friend, you're a Dallas Mavericks fan, right?
Yes, I am.
So let's say the Mavs, Cuban,
yeah.
He's one of the best owners in this game.
Yep.
Houston's right there. He on the phone with Houston. Y'all unloading y'all people. All right. I give you Tim Hardaway. I give you Finley. No, you keep Finley. I give you Tim Hardaway, Seth Curry, Bronson. I give you Wright and throw some picks in there. Let me get Harden. You taking that?
Oh, I don't know. I will say no.
Okay.
I need Luka in control of that thing. I don't want to stunt Luka's progression at all in that backcourt. I need
would you take PJ Tucker? Who would you take? PJ Tucker
in a heartbeat.
Okay, that's what I wanted to know.
In a heartbeat.
There you go. Let's talk about a trade rumor that's come up as of recently. There's been 2 names that have been kind of thrown out there. One on the Houston Rockets, as we all know, Russell Westbrook. We've heard that name for quite some time now, but now we're hearing a little bit of talk with that a potential trade could be coming out with the Washington Wizards involving John Wall. John Wall, Russell Westbrook would be an interesting trade to say the least. I'm going to go with Chris just because he's shaking his head. I mean, I think we need to get his opinion right out here because he looks like he's at a breaking point right now.
This would be the dumbest. I'm telling you right now, if the Wizards do this, their future that I had so bright for them, they can kiss it goodbye. Why would you trade John Wall, who is he's more of a playmaker than Russell Westbrook. Russell Westbrook is a guy, if he's not a shooter, how is he helping you out on the basketball court? John Wall, he's going to be that playmaker, that guy that initiates the offense. Why would you trade away him for Russell Westbrook? How is Russell Westbrook going to help you at all? Because, the Rockets are asking for young players and draft picks. You're really willing to give that much up for a guy that's not as good as the point guard that you have right now. That's not going to be a better fit for the point guard that you have right now. And if they do that, they might as well kiss Bradley Beal goodbye, because the only reason Bradley Beal wants to stay is because the bond and friendship. I'm not talking about on the court. I'm talking about off the court that him and John Wall have. Those guys are close like brothers. They are brothers. They are dominant on the basketball court. When they're healthy, they're a top 3 backcourt. It is not even close, because John Wall, like I said, doesn't have to put up 30 shots to be effective. This dude was a walking 20 and 10 when he was healthy. He was playing with the injury and still one of the best point guards in the game. So you mean to tell me, coming off the injury with all the rehab, that he's not? Why John Wall is about to dominate? And you want to give him up for Russell Westbrook? Why? What has Russell Westbrook ever showed you? When has he ever showed you he can lead a team to the finals? When has he ever showed you he could be the number 2 to the team and lead them to the finals? He hasn't done it. He hasn't done it recently. Yeah, I understand he did it with the Thunder that one time. After that, what happened? What happened when he was in the Rockets? Dude didn't show up in the playoffs all the time. So you want to make that trade, the Washington Wizards, I'm telling you, you do this, you can kiss Bradley Beal goodbye. You can kiss any, y'all had playoffs hopes this year. You kiss them all goodbye because you're going to trade for Russell Westbrook. No good team. First of all, no team with a point guard should make that trade. So no good team in general need to be trading this man. When has John Wall shown you that? My brother, have you watched any basketball in the past couple of years when John Wall's put up 20-10 in the regular season and in the playoffs? Please, the stats are right there. I can send you the text with a screenshot of all this dude's stats. John Wall has shown that he's a walking 20 and 10. So, I'm not going to get into you because you're my friend. I'm just telling you, don't be like Freddie, a.k.a. Mr. Delusion.
Let's move to Freddie. Freddie, what do you have to say on these reports between the Wall Westbrook trade?
I mean, it's a crazy trade, but it might be something that they're saying that John Wall might not be that same dude. We have not seen John Wall in 2 years, so we can't say what John Wall is going to be because we haven't seen him in 2 years due to injuries. So I mean, to me, because they're both very similar players, they're very athletic, very fast. They can
Not
they can
at all.
they can push the ball down the court. They can get teammates open. But like I said, this could be showing that John Wall is not the same player. Like I said, we have not seen him in a couple of years. We do not know what he looks like, so we can't assume that this is a bad trade until we see what John Wall look like. Have you seen him play?
Yes,
in the NBA game.
I seen him play against NBA players.
I'm talking about the NBA game.
I seen him play against Kyrie and Kevin Durant.
Because anybody can meet up in the gym and say, let's hoop. But I'm talking about the NBA game.
I'm talking about Kyrie and Kevin Durant. I don't need to say any other players other than them. I'm talking about Kyrie and Kevin Durant.
I'm talking about in the NBA game. We don't know what they look like yet until we see them actually lace it up onto the court.
All right, Mr. Non-basketball watcher, non-basketball player, non-basketball, any knowledge towards the game.
Right. I'm just saying, until we see what he looks like, we can't say nothing.
Okay.
Coach Cam, before I get to you, I did have a question that came in from a friend of mine last night. I had a friend ask me that watched the show. Freddie, Chris, do you two actually like each other? I just wanted to, the fans want to know. The fans want to know if you guys actually like each other off the show.
Yeah, Chris, my brother, I respect all his work he do, man. Of course I like to do it.
I don't respect nothing Freddie says on camera, but outside of it, not even. I don't respect any sports take he has, but outside of sports, this is my guy right here.
Okay, I just think a couple people still needed to hear that for some reassurance. All right, Coach Cam, I'm going to go to you. Wall Westbrook trades. What are your thoughts?
I kind of understand what Freddie is saying a little bit in a sense. I mean, we know we've seen him play in the gym a little bit like that, but the NBA game is different. It's a different level of intensity when you go out there 5-on-5 and those lights on, referees on. It's just a different level of intensity instead of some pickup ball. So I do understand what he's saying. But if you can't do this trade if you're Washington. You can't do this trade at all. John Wall, healthy, he's one of the most electrifying point guards in the game. I'm talking about quick, probably could get to end as faster than any other point guard in the league. 2018, 2019, before he got hurt, he was averaging, 21 points, 9 assists. I mean, for a career, he's averaging almost a steal, over a steal and a half. That's close to 2 steals. John Wall gives you the complete game. You cannot trade John Wall for Russell Westbrook. And the reason why is because we've seen Russell Westbrook is on a decline, guys. And I know the numbers are going to always be there because that's how Russ plays. He plays hard. But if you look at his efficiency, it's getting worse and worse and worse and worse every year. It's to the point where he doesn't even trust shooting a jump shot anymore. It's just burrow down, head down to the paint. And, John Wall still has that mid-range jumper, to keep people honest. So, I mean, if you Washington Wizards, man, you can't make that trade.
Brandon, where do you stand on this? We've heard some comments now. Where do you stand on Westbrook and Wall?
Well, I'm kind of like you. NBA is not my forte. So what these guys are saying, I agree with all of them. Do we know that it's just a one-on-one trade, or are there going to be some picks involved?
The Rockets are asking for either, they want somebody. They either want a young, talented guy or somebody that, like a John Wall status. They're not going to want a whole bunch of picks. And if Washington gives up picks, if it's just a one-on-one trade, that I still don't agree with it. But, it makes sense. But if you give up picks for the same player that you already have, that, to me, is the problem. Because they're asking for a young player and picks. So that's why I don't see the Rockets doing it. And it's sad to say that this was even a rumor. It just makes sense.
No, I mean, if they're going to try to gain as many assets as they can for Westbrook, then, I don't agree with it. I could probably see it if it goes one-on-one. I mean, Walls is good, but, I mean, if he's been hurt, maybe Washington doesn't want to take that chance and they get somebody healthy. But overall, I agree with you guys. I don't think they should do this move.
Here's my take on it, and I don't know exactly where y'all stand on this. I think y'all would all agree with me on this, and I'm going to go back and reference what Coach Cam said about Harden and Westbrook potentially sitting out if they're not moved. This could be huge, and this could be really detrimental for the Rockets, especially if they can't move them. And I think whenever you look at it, I think obviously if you're going to be moving some big pieces such as a Russell Westbrook, such as a James Harden, you're going to want a big return. And I mean, a 1-for-1 for John Wall would be not exactly a big return. I mean, John Wall is a great point guard. Don't get me wrong. No disrespect to the man, but I mean, there's a lot of teams that would pay a lot more than just a 1-for-1 trade on Russell Westbrook. I know there's a lot of teams, but I also think that John Wall being a great point guard, I think one of the worst things that he could do right now, at least for his career, is to move him out of where he's comfortable, especially missing all this time on injury. I think if he came back and he's still with Bradley Beal and he's still with those guys over at the Wizards, I think that's still going to be really good for him, no matter how much time he's missed. Obviously, he's going to need time to get back accustomed to the game whenever the lights are on and everything such as that. But I think being in that comfortable spot with somebody like Bradley Beal, like Chris had mentioned, these two are like brothers outside of the court. These two are they've become family. They really are like bread and butter together. And I think it's going to be best for John Wall to stick with the Wizards. I don't know where you would do this trade. I really don't, because it's going to completely change the organization out there in Washington, because this is a man, Russell Westbrook, who needs the ball in his hands, who needs to run his offense through him, no matter if those stats are declining or not. This is a guy who, in his head, needs to have the ball. And I think that's going to be really weird for somebody like Bradley Beal. I think that's going to be really awkward for an organization like Washington. And I think they just really kind of throw off the locker room out there.
I just had something to add real quick. I understand how you feel, how everybody feels. We haven't seen Wall, this, that, and the third. I understand, but John Wall has been my guy since he was in Kentucky. So I follow him, everything he's doing. And I fully 100% believe he's going to come back and be very, very good in the NBA. And, I'm a firm believer. I'm taking him over 2 point guards, all-star point guards in the East any day of the week coming off this injury. And I'm talking about Kemba Walker and Kyle Lowry. Y'all can feel how you feel about it.
Whoa.
You can feel how you feel about it. This is my opinion. This is my opinion. I'm not taking anything away. Kyle Lowry, Pitbull. I've grown a lot of respect for him. Kemba Walker, he didn't show up in the playoffs. That's fine. But, their entire careers, I'd always pick John Wall, and I'm not taking anything away from him, but this is just how much confidence I have in this guy coming back. I think John Wall is going to have a great season, and I'd always pick him over those two. I said it ever since they all been in NBA together, and I think people just forgot how good John Wall is. So I can't wait till he come back in NBA and shows people how good of a player he was when he was healthy.
It'll be a matter of time whenever we finally see him step back on the court, and we'll actually get our answers, no matter if he's on the Rockets, if he's on the Wizards, no matter where he's at. We'll see exactly what all is going on with that. But You know, the rumors were coming out, so we definitely had to address it. So let's talk about some stuff that's actually been done. No longer rumors. Let's start with the fact that Andre Drummond opted into his option, and it was now being paid $28.7 million to remain in the Cleveland uniform. I'm going to start with Freddie. Let's hear from you. What are your opinions on Drummond opting into his option?
Man, I mean, hey, when you're talking about a team like the Cleveland Cavaliers where a free agent's not coming there to come play for your franchise, because, I mean, we all knew when LeBron left, that team was going back to the bottom of the basement of the Eastern Conference. So, I mean, hey, Andre Drummond is still a beast. I mean, he can still give you 17, 18 points at like 15, 16 rebounds a game. I mean, he can block shots. I mean, this might be the next big dude they have in Cleveland, honestly. I mean, you know, they have the point guard, Sexton down there. They do have a draft pick in this draft. They do have Cody. I forgot his last name. But, I mean, hey, if this keeps them relevant, I mean, hey, it's a good deal for them, I guess. Like I said, it's Cleveland.
Cam, we'll go to you. What are your opinions on Drummond opting into his option?
Smart move by Drummond. You know, it's coming off COVID. You know, you're not going to get another contract like that. You know, looking at the landscape, really no contenders really was going to spend that amount of money on a big man, so he's not probably going to win the title this year. So get your $28 million for one more year, and then you opt in, you know, getting free agency. You know, the following year, you know, hopefully, you know, things calm down with this COVID stuff. You get some fans and revenue back up, and, you know, the salary cap goes back up. But a lot of people are opting into their contracts because, you know, they're not going to get it paid as much as they was with it. So, you know, Drummond's still a good player. I suspect that Drummond will get moved at the trade deadline because he's not going to sign back there. But I think he's going to get moved at the trade deadline.
Brandon, do you agree with Coach Cam? Are you sitting around that area too?
Yeah, I think exactly what Cam said. I think the COVID is kind of letting these people or let the players opt into their year because, you know, the other teams probably don't know what they're going to do. I mean, you know, so yeah, I mean, it's hard to lay down $28 million and just walk away. I mean, no matter how good the team is or not. So, I mean, I think Drummond was smart to do it. And like Cam said, yeah, I can see him get moved mid-season around the trade deadline. I mean, you know, we got to remember this is a short season, short off season for some of these guys. So, you know, like you said before with Walls, you know, he's comfortable where he's at. Don't move him. So, I mean, Drummond's the kind of the same way. You know, take the money and stay there, and you know, they'll probably move him.
Chris, where do you stand on this?
Man, you know, I love the coach over there in Cleveland, JB Bickerstaff. I think he's going to do a great job over there. You know, and when I look at their roster now, no, guys, I'm not saying they're going to win the championship. When you say a roster is good, that doesn't mean just because I say they're good, that means they're championship ready, championship level. But, you know, when I look at their roster, it really isn't the worst roster in the East, you know. When I look at who they have Colin Sexton, young pit bull over there. You have Kevin Love, who I expect is probably going to be traded. But if they keep him for the beginning of the year, they're going to be somewhat relevant. You know, you have Garland, who's a knockdown shooter. Now you have a top pick. You know, there's a lot of players you can get with that top pick. You also have Kevin Porter Jr., who I think is a very, very good basketball player. You have Larry Nance. So, no, I'm not saying they're going to win the championship, but I'm saying they're going to be decent. You know, Coach Cam, go ahead, say it. Go ahead.
Cleveland Cavaliers on that list of teams.
That whatever I know
what can't go wrong
will go wrong.
And
I already know when LeBron's not on there, everything is going to go wrong for this franchise. But the point being is that Coach Cam really hit it on the head. No contender team. It's a lot of I'm going to get into this contender teams that need centers, but none really have the cap space. But, you know, I'm going to be surprised if this dude gets traded. You know, you look at the Clippers, you look at the Celtics. One thing that I scream that they need a center. So, you know, they have Tristan Thompson. He's probably going to get dealt away. But, you know, with the Cavaliers, they have a lot of pieces that a lot of people need. But, you know, I'm glad Andre jumped in, opted in. You know, now he has a chance to really show, you know, his game right now in Cleveland. And it's like a trial. go in there, put on, and let a contender team see what you're doing and make that trade for you. Because if he shows improvement to his offensive game, if he shows that he can really run up and down the court, you're talking about, Coach Cam put him in his top 5 centers a couple weeks ago, deservedly so. And if he, shows some improvement to that offensive game, this dude is going to be a beast because he's, you can argue he's really the best rebounder in the game. His defense is good. His offense is getting better. And now if he shows major improvements and more athleticism,
yeah, there aren't many teams that wouldn't benefit from having somebody like Andre Drummond on their team. But right now with the COVID season, I think Cam made a really good point whenever he mentioned that. Right now, a lot of teams are going to be low on money, especially missing almost a whole entire season of revenue. The NBA got to play a lot more regular season games before COVID hit, before a lot of other leagues. But there is still a lot of games that were missed out as well as playoffs. And that's a lot of revenue for a lot of teams, especially the contending teams. Imagine if you got to have a couple home games from the postseason there at your own stadium. You're going to make some pretty decent money, especially for your organization. But I tell you what, man, I think Drummond's making the right move. I think Drummond's making a really good decision to try to opt in and at least get his bag now. I wouldn't be shocked to see a trade later on in the midseason if Cleveland's not where they want to be. I think if they are in a decent spot, if you're seeing improvement, I could see him kind of sitting there and maybe if he's enjoying the place, might as well keep him around. But right now, there's a lot of question marks about Kevin Love on if he's going to get traded. And right now, between those two guys, you got $50 million wrapped up in cap, and that's a lot of money to be paying two players, especially for that down there. But I tell you what, I like the move for Andre Drummond. I like the fact that he opted in and he got his bag that he needed right now, and just to take the guarantee. Take the guarantee. I like the idea of the trial run, like Chris said. So. Let's move on to some trades that we saw last night. Last night, our episode was really hot. We had a lot of viewers, and we got some big news that came in while we were in the middle of our show. We're going to start first. We actually got 2 trades right here to talk about with the Milwaukee Bucks. We're going to start with the first one in Jrue Holiday. Jrue Holiday was the first one that broke, I'm pretty sure. And as I'm looking at it, Jrue Holiday was dealt to the Milwaukee Bucks for Eric Bledsoe, George Hill, and a collection of 3 first-round picks. I tell you what, that is a big haul to get back for one player. I'm going to start with Coach Cam. What are your thoughts on this Jrue Holiday trade for Milwaukee?
Looking into it first, I'm like, well, they got Jrue Holiday. You decided. I went back and forth with it all day. And then you look and you say, God, 3 first-round picks. And you're like, but you only get Giannis, a type of caliber player like Giannis, once every 20 years if you're the Bucks. So in this case, you got to do everything you can to try to keep him. Will he stay? Who knows? Probably not, to be honest. But you got to do what all you can do, because then you can look back and say, you know what? We at least tried. And because, I mean, even if you keep the 3 future first-round picks, I mean, who knows what they turn into anyway. You're the Milwaukee Bucks. I mean, you don't get these type of caliber players often. You got to do whatever you can do to keep them. Yes, they paid a steep price, but, they wanted – he said, I want you all to spend, into the luxury tax. So that's what they're doing. They putting pieces around them. So I'm all for the Milwaukee Bucks. If they feel like that help them win the title, do it.
Chris, I know last night after we went off air, I know you saw the trade and everybody that went involved in it. You said you were going to go make your own show go make an episode on it for your own show. I want to hear a little bit of your thoughts on that trade then.
So everybody should know by now how much of a fan I am of Jrue Holiday. And I feel like everybody should know that. Every time we talk about trades and a player underrated, I always say Jrue Holiday. So do I think it was too much? Yes, but then I really sat there and thought about it. And, like I said earlier, they don't win this year. Giannis isn't coming back. So who really cares about those picks? They need to go all in. And so I'm really going to talk about, I'm not going to break it down with it too much. I'm just going to say how Jrue Holiday will fit and why he's so much of an, improvement from Eric Bledsoe. You're talking about a guy, they say Eric Bledsoe is good on defense. Jrue Holiday doesn't get the credit he deserves on the defensive end. You ask any top superstar, and they all say in their interviews, who's the best defender in the game? They all say Jrue Holiday. So he's a better defender. You can check that off the box. Offensive-wise, he can score way better than Eric Bledsoe. Not only can he drive to the paint like Eric Bledsoe, but he can shoot Eric Bledsoe can't do that, especially in the playoffs. He can knock down a three. Eric Bledsoe can't do that, especially in the playoffs. Then he's a better playmaker than Eric Bledsoe. Talking about a guy that can give you 20 and 5 a night and can lock down your team's best perimeter player. So this was a great move for the Milwaukee Bucks. You know, I'm glad he's going on a contender team. So now people can really realize how great this dude is. And, you know, I'm going to wait till our next topic to, you know, get my overall take on the Bucks. But for this trade, you know, I really sat down there and talked about it. You know, was it too much? At the end of the day, George Hill, you know, and Bledsoe, I'm still taking Drew Holiday over both those guys. Those picks, it just comes with that, man. If you want a top player that's going to help your team, sometimes you have to make those certain moves. And I'm glad Drew Holiday, like I said, is on a contender team. So he's going to show the world, you know, when he locks up Kyrie Irving in the playoffs, that he's a good defender.
Freddie, are you with these two men? Are you positive whenever you're looking at this from a Milwaukee Bucks standpoint?
Man, I agree with both of them. It was a lot for the trade. You know, they gave up too much. But guess what? When you have a dude by the name of Giannis Antetokounmpo, guess what? You do whatever it takes to keep that man happy. If it's mean, give up the house. You give the house. You give the roof. You give the front door, the back door, anything for this man to keep him in Milwaukee, because this dude is the franchise, and you have to win the championship. And I think that's the only way you're going to keep him. Yes, you got the players now, but guess what? You have to go finish the job. You have to win the championship. You have to deliver to keep Giannis Antetokounmpo happy. So, yes, it's a great trade for the Bucks, but now they just have to look good on paper. Now they had to go put it into work.
And then are we going 4 for 4 on this positive outlook for the Bucks?
Yeah, looking at, the little research I did today, I was kind of shocked that the Bucks gave up that much, but then overall looking at it, it's, like everybody said, it's all or nothing this year, and maybe down the road they got a verbal commitment that they're going to, that the MVP is going to stay there for a while, but, if they don't make a splash this year, it's probably time to, you'll be packing.
Tell you what, I'm gonna piggyback off of something you just said right there. Whenever you said the verbal commitment, as a big baseball fan myself, I'm a big St. Louis Cardinal fan, and one of the greatest players of all time. You can hate me all you want, I don't care. Wrong finger. That right there, that's a St. Louis Cardinal blanket that's actually hiding my window to keep things dark because I like to sleep in. But anyway, not the point. One of the greatest players to ever play baseball, Albert Pujols, once said that he will stay a Cardinal forever. Look where he's at. He's with the Los Angeles Angels, and I think that should let you know that not everything is going to come down to your word. I think a lot of players can go back on their word. And I tell you what, whenever you're looking at a bigger amount of money, a longer amount of security, whenever you're looking at things like that, I think that really kind of settles in with a player to go, you know what? Maybe I don't need to sit here and be here my whole life. And I think Giannis is really sitting there contemplating that. Whenever he won his first MVP, he said, don't call me MVP until I win him back-to-back. Well, he won them back-to-back. He said, can you call me MVP? Can I call you the MVP now? And he said, don't call me that until I win a championship. And I think that's really kind of setting in with the Milwaukee Bucks front office. I think they really realize that they need to make the move now. I think it kind of came out whenever he says that Giannis is really looking for that ring as soon as possible, ASAP. We said it here. I mean, we couldn't have said it better. I think whenever you look at it, those first-round picks aren't guaranteed to be anybody as spectacular as Giannis Antetokounmpo, and I think everybody knows that. I think all of those first-round players aren't guaranteed to be a player like Drew Holiday, and I think everybody knows that. And I think the front office is really looking at that and really trying to make the move and say, do we go with the guarantee right here in Drew, or do we kind of sit there and kind of wait and look at the back-to-back MVP, just kind of see his hopes kind of wash away in this organization? And I think it was a great move for Milwaukee to try to make that push because, as Chris said, you want to talk about a guy who can hit some threes. You want to see a guy who can defend off the ball. You want to see a guy who doesn't need the ball in his hands but can still be a star out on a team. I think you got to look at Drew Holiday, and I think it's going to be huge for Milwaukee. Let's talk about the other move that they made. Bogdanovich is going to be moving over there to Milwaukee as well. He's being sent over from the Sacramento Kings for Dante DiVincenzo, DJ Wilson, as well as Ersan Ilyasova. We're going to start with Coach Cam. Where do you sit on that move for Milwaukee?
I like that one too. Another knockdown shooter. Help spread the floor a little bit for Giannis now. So when it comes playoff time and they build that wall on defense, you got shooters that can knock it down. You got Middleton, you got Bogdanovic now. You got Holiday, who's a better shooter than Bledsoe, who will stretch the floor a little bit better there and a better playmaker, driving to the basket, I feel like, finisher as well. So you put that together, they got a nice group. Now you got to figure out how they're going to fill the rest of that roster. They got to, what sounds like Wesley Matthews out the door. You traded 3 guys for 1. You traded 2 guys for 1 and some picks. So you got to fill out the rest of that roster. But, people going to want to play there for the minimum. Giannis is there. They got a nice, core there to contend for a championship. So it's going to be anxious to see how they fill out the roster. But I like the trade. More shooting. Get as much shooting as you can around Giannis. So when teams build that wall for him up in the playoffs and he kicks it out to players, they can knock down shots.
Freddie, where do you stand on Bogdanovic going to the Milwaukee Bucks?
I absolutely agree with Coach Camp. You're talking about a dude who can space the floor. This dude is scrappy. He's a dog. He's not afraid. He will defend at times, but the main thing, his main role there is to play defense and shoot that ball. And he can do it at a high clip. This dude can light you up. So I definitely think I actually want him with my Lakers, but it's definitely a good pickup for the Milwaukee Bucks.
Chris, your opinion?
Okay, so my opinion is I love Bogdanovic. I think he's the guy that not only is he going to shoot, but he's going to score at a high level. He can do more than just catch and shoot. He can score, he's going to play defense. He's not going to be a lockdown defender, but that's what you got Jrue Holiday for. That's what you have Giannis for. But, when I look at this trade, they gave up 4 or 5 players, a whole bunch of draft picks for 2 players. This was a team, like I said in the beginning, that relies on their bench. This is a head coach. The reason why I picked him to lose against Miami, the reason why I said they need to fire him, because he relies on his bench too much. He doesn't play his star players like he should. There's no reason Giannis is only playing 34 minutes in the playoffs when LeBron is playing 40+, when Jimmy Butler is playing all 48. When all the star players are playing 40+ minutes, there's no reason the quote-unquote best player in the league, the quote-unquote MVP, the quote-unquote defensive player of the year award is only playing 32 to 34 minutes. Now, when you talk about a starting 5, I'm going to be honest. It's one of the best starting 5s you can argue. Not even one of the best. As it stands right now, looking at all the teams, you got to give them the nod as having the best starting 5 in the NBA. How the NBA stands right now. You have the point guard that can play, make, and score and defend. You have the 2 guard that's a knockdown shooter and a scorer. You have Chris Middleton, who can score at a high efficient rate. He's proven that he can defend. He's a little bit of a playmaker, but that's what Jrue Holiday is for. You have Giannis, who's the dominant force, and you have Brook Lopez to defend and, shoot corner threes. So this is a very good starting 5. But like I said, who's going to be their bench? That's the question I'm asking myself. And right now, Coach Cam said players are going to want to play there for the veteran minimum. I don't know. Players really don't want to go to Milwaukee. Now, they might see the names there right now and say, hey, I want to try this just for 1 year. For 1 year. But what Milwaukee needs off the bench, off the rip, they need a guy off the bench that can play making. They need a scorer off the bench. We're going to get into that a little bit later. They need, some shooters off the bench. So hopefully they can get the right guys for veteran minimum. But like I said, that's starting 5. If the coach finally plays the best players more minutes, this is going to be a great team. But if they don't do that, they're going to lose in the second round.
Brandon, how do you feel about Bogdanovic going to Milwaukee?
Well, I think they said it right. I mean, they're building, probably the best starting 5 in a while. Again, Chris pointed out, though, I mean, it's going to come down to bench play. And who do they got now? I mean, yeah, they got free agents they can bring in. You'll probably get a couple vets in there for the veteran minimum. But, I mean, it's a win now build. I mean, so, yeah, if they win now, yeah, next year they'll probably get a couple more bigger names in there. But, yeah, I agree. I think it's, they're looking good right now, but we'll wait and see.
Yeah, assuming that Wesley Matthews is out the door as well, this team after that starting 5 gets really shallow. I mean, that's really starting to not exactly be too deep, as Chris has mentioned, whenever you get to that bench spot. And it's really going to come down to free agency. I mean, you got to really hope that somebody is out there and they really want to come and sign with Milwaukee, like they both said, for 1 year. You got to really hope, because I don't know if a lot of people are looking at Milwaukee as that lockdown place that they want to go, especially when somebody like Big 34 out there doesn't even know if he wants to be there. So I think that's going to come down to it. I think it's going to be a lot of players that are be looking to win now. It's going to be that's what the Milwaukee Bucks have turned themselves into. It's now, do you want to come and you want to contend, or do you want to you want to try yourself somewhere else and go get the bag somewhere, because they've got their money wrapped up now. They've got their big starting five. They know where they're going. And if that coach can come around and finally say, hey, let's play those players, that's a dangerous team. I mean, that is a very dangerous team if they can give the right minutes to the right people. But, you can't believe it until you see it. I mean, to be fair, you really can't give them credit until you start seeing Giannis playing those big time minutes. So we'll see exactly what Milwaukee can turn of it. Those are some big additions for the Bucks. Whenever you're just looking at it from, from a surface level, but whenever we're going to look into it deeper, you may see a little bit of question marks whenever it comes to Milwaukee. But let's move on here. We're going to move away from Milwaukee. Let's go and talk about the Houston Rockets a little bit. They just traded Robert Covington. He will be moving to the Portland Trail Blazers. And I know we got a man in Chris who loves himself some Robert Covington, being a 76ers fan. Let's hear your opinions on this trade for Roca.
Listen, the Blazers finally made this move. Ever since C.J. McCollum and Dame Lillard has emerged as one of the best backcourts, everybody's been saying, who's going to be their defender? Who's going to be their defender? Who's going to be their defender? That's literally been the only question for me other than staying healthy for this team moving in the long run. Okay, now you got Gary Trent. He's emerged as being their guard defender, the guy to guard the Trae Youngs, the Lucas, the James Harden, and Kyrie Irvings. But they still were missing that wing defender. Now, what they had to give up, a first-round pick this year and next year, Trevor Ariza, let's be honest, this team is in win-now mode. Them picks are not going to do anything for them because they're going to be late picks. They need players that's going to contribute right away. What is Robert Covington going to bring you? He's the guy to guard LeBron in the playoffs. He's the guy to guard Kawhi Leonard and Paul George in the playoffs. He's the guy that's going to be that 3-and-D guy that they desperately needed for the past 4 or 5 years. I'm so happy for the Portland Trail Blazers. I'm happy for Robert Covington because he didn't have to go on a trash team. He's on a contending team right now, and he's going to prove why he's one of the best, if not the best 3-and-D guys in the league. So when I look at this Blazers team, you want to talk about hot take? This should have been my hot take earlier. If everybody's healthy on this Blazers team and they get Rodney Hood back and they can get a good big man to come off the bench, this is going to be one of the best basketball teams in basketball. And if they make it to the finals, I won't be surprised because Robert Covington is all that they're missing. Nurkic, if he stays healthy, he's one of the best centers in the game. You know what Dame and CJ are going to bring. You finally get that defender. That's all that they needed. They can secure a good bench. This team, the sky's the limit for them because he's the piece that they've been missing for the past 5 years. He's the guy. Now Portland is going to be on the mat, and everybody needs to look out.
Freddie, I'll go to you. What are your opinions on Robo going to Portland? You're muted, buddy.
Mute.
There we go. Come on. Nope, you're still muted.
All right. I'm not going to say it's going to make them a like to go to the finals or to the Western Conference Finals, but it makes them a top five team in my opinion because, we know what Dame and CJ are going to bring. We know it's Dame time. We know what they're going to bring. Nurkic should be back. Zach Collins should be back. But you bring a Robert Covington to that team, like Chris said, a 3-and-D guy, because who's going to guard a Kawhi Leonard, a LeBron James, and a Kevin Durant? He will. He's not afraid to get down and dirty. He's not afraid to knock down open. This team is going to be dangerous. This team is always in the mix. Heck, they was in the mix last year, even though they were dealing with injuries when they came to the bubble. They still came in and gave problems. So I expect this team to be in there. I would not be surprised if it upset a couple teams. And honestly, the Utah Jazz need to make some moves, man, because there's a lot of teams in the Western Conference that is getting better, and Utah might be on the way down. Just being honest.
Coach Cam, we'll move to you. Where do you stand on the Covington trade?
I like Robert Covington. I like the trade for them. Like I said, a 3-D guy. That's what they needed badly, desperately. But with Portland, I kind of feel like they with the Rockets. They need to bust it up. CJ and Dame ain't winning nothing together, and I love Dame. Dame is probably like my second favorite player behind Luka, but they're not winning. The backcourt is too small, too little, and they can't guard. They can't defend that perimeter. I understand you got one defender, Robert Covington, who could guard LeBron's and things like that, but they're too little of a backcourt, man. And I think we done seen this story over and over. Dame and CJ, they done got as far as they can go. They done went to the Western Conference Finals. I respect them. I like them as a backcourt. I love them as a backcourt. But they're not going to win a title, and that's what they're trying to do. Even with Robert Covington, they're not going to win a title. That's what they're trying to do. Bust it up. Let's stop this. Bust it up. Here go teams that's hanging in there trying to hold on to pieces too long. It's time to give it up, man. That CJ and Dame experiment is over. We done seen it. We've seen it. We've seen CJ and Dame for how long now? And they've gotten as far as they're going to go. I understand the Robert Covington, it does make them better. But am I going to pick them to win to go to the finals? No, not even close. Am I going to pick them to go to Western Conference? They probably won't be my first choices. No. So I like the trade. It makes them better, but middle of the pack West team, second round flame. And they're going to be drafted in the middle again instead of busting it up and trying to rebuild and get all you can get. I'm telling you, man, teams hold on too long.
Brandon, before we go on to you, Chris looks like he's about to be sick. Chris, do you have anything to say about this?
Yeah, I would agree with that one.
I mean, this is why I see where Coach Cam is coming from, but the reason why they've been losing is because they've been missing a player like Robert Covington, and that's why I think he's going to make a difference. And this is why I don't say bust it up. We always talk about players signing where they're going to go. Who is signing in Portland? So they're going to bust it up and bank on the draft, whether they're at least trying right now when you got the right pieces right in front of you. You're going to bust it up and wait, another 10 to 15 years to get another Dame. Hope Brandon Roy, you had him. Hope you can get a LaMarcus Aldridge. But what's really going to happen? Players don't sign there. So this is why I say go in all now. You got the team right in front of you where you can compete. Because honestly, I like them over a lot of teams. You can compete with the Nuggets. You can compete with the Lakers. You can compete with the Clippers. You can compete with these top teams that's in the Western Conference. Why not try it now instead of blowing it up and waiting 15 years for you to get another good player? Nobody wants to wait 15 years for your franchise to be good again.
I understand. I get that. I understand that. But while you can get these players, while they got a couple years on their deals, you know what return you can get back for them. That's the thing. Don't wait till they're on their last year of their contract, and then you're like, we don't think we can win the championship. Let's trade them. By then, they're probably already requesting for it. Well, Dame is not a request to trade type of guy.
Give him at least 1 or 2 years. Give him at least 1 or 2 years. 1 or 2 years, they don't make it out.
I'll say this. They better fire Terry Stotts then, because I darn sure don't like him as the coach. Because if they're gonna keep him as the coach, they're gonna keep coming up short.
Man, I can agree with you on that one. I'm not saying he's the worst coach, but he's not the best coach either.
All right, we'll move to you, Brandon. Where do you stand on the Robert Covington trade?
Well, in most sports, defense will win games. So, if you're going to add a strong defensive player to a team that's, already good, why not go for it? Chris is probably right. You don't want to bust it up now and wait another 15 years because we've been doing that in Minnesota. So, the wait is very long, So, again, it sounds like another team that's trying to win it this year or show that they can contend and, maybe next year. So, I don't think they'll bust it up, but, you bring in a good defensive player with the talent around them, I think you probably got something good there.
Yeah, I don't think Portland's exactly the name or the city or the team, anything you want to go to whenever you're thinking of that big, sexy team that you're going to sign with in the offseason. I think Chris made a really good point with that.
Oh, yeah.
This is a team that was 26th last year in total points allowed whenever it came to the defensive side of the ball. And I think that kind of speaks to the fact that they desperately need somebody on defense. And what other position scores more than, especially out in the West? Whenever you're looking at the Western side of the ball, you got a lot of good small forwards out there that could really contend. And putting somebody like Robert Covington could really slow things down and could change some games out there for Portland. I mean, I think it's going to be a decent pick. I think sending Trevor Ariza alongside with it, 2 first-round picks, maybe a little bit steep, but I mean, I like the move. I really do like the move. I think the defensive side is something that was desperately needed for Portland. I think this is going to be something that's really going to benefit them as a team. I don't know about the finals. I think that was pretty ambitious, but that's why it's called a hot take. But yeah, no, I really like the move for Portland. I think this is going to be very interesting to see exactly how they can come, especially playing with a little bit more defense on their side of the ball. If you can see somebody else step up, I think that'd be amazing. I think I don't know about blow it up just yet. I think you definitely, especially making after a Robert Covington trade, you need to sit there and wait a little bit, see how it goes. But we'll see where exactly we all end up after that.
Breaking news, ladies and gentlemen, we all know who the best team in football is right now, the Kansas City Chiefs. We all know how great their offense is. Kansas City Chiefs are about to sign Freddie, I see you shaking your head. DeAndre Baker.
Yep, the corner. Yep.
The corner.
Former first-round pick.
Former first lottery pick, top whatever. Just know he was a first-round pick. They're getting another corner. Everyone wants to talk about the defense. They're adding another corner to the squad. I'm not saying he's Jalen Ramsey, but I'm saying he's just getting a second chance on a team that he's going to go far. He's going to have to guard some wide receivers. And if you're going to sign him, that means you trust him, and that means you like him and what he's going to bring. DeAndre Baker to the Kansas City Chiefs. Me personally, I like it. We're going to talk about this later. I know Freddie's shaking his head. He's upset because his New York Giants let him go. But Freddie, you got Bradbury, bro. Isn't that his name? Bradbury is one of the best corners in the game. No need to shake your head. What the allegations that happened, we're not going to get into it, that they had to let him go. Because of the allegations, they probably weren't going to re-sign him. But now he's going to a team that's the favorite to win the championship, and he's there, and he's young, and everybody man, listen, we're going to talk about this on Thursday. Just know.
Get into it on Thursday.
Just know, I like it, but we're going to get into it on Thursday.
We've been talking about Robert Covington with defense. Let's continue with a man that plays some pretty solid defense in Lou Will. Let's go over to Lou Will. You like that?
No Lou Will slander will ever be tolerated in my presence. I'm sorry.
All right, we're gonna start with Coach Cam on this one. What team do you think should target Lou Will?
I think my Mavs should go after him. I know there was a report that came out that we're dangling that 18th pick, and we're possibly on the phone with the Clippers of trading that 18th pick to the Clippers for Lou Williams. I'll definitely take that off the bench. That's 20 points off the bench, instant scoring. You can, give Luka a little bit of a breather there. He plays a lot of minutes. So you can have faith with someone out there on the court that can get you a bucket. I'll take Lemon Pepper Lou in Dallas for sure. Because the 18th pick, this draft is not as deep. If it's not like Cole Anthony don't drop to like 18 or anything like that, I don't see really nobody in that range that can give you what Lou Williams can give you. But just to throw another name out there for my Mavericks, Buddy Hield too, and I'll take him.
There you go. So looking at the Dallas Mavericks as a potential team that could go after Lou Will. Freddie, I'm going to go to you. What team do you think should go target Lou Will? Man, I'd love if your mic was on. That'd be awesome.
Yo, what's up with this dude?
You got that broken mic plugged back in?
Yeah, really good. Hey, Chris.
What's up?
My brother. The Philadelphia 76ers. You have Ben Simmons. You have Joel Embiid. You have Tobias Harris. You need somebody to come off that bench that maintain scoring. Lou Williams will be a perfect fit for your Philadelphia team. It hurts me to say it, but it is the truth. And Doc Rivers know how to use them. Hey, do not be surprised, Doc. Tell Daryl Morey to pick up this dude to come off that bench.
Him too.
Hey, and they was close.
That's Ricky.
No, that's AI. My bad. I'm sorry.
Oh, AI right there. Don't worry, AI right there.
All right, let's go to you, Chris. What team do you think should target somebody like Lou Will?
Now, I'm going to give a list of teams. And yes, number one was my Philadelphia 76ers. Not just because I'm a Sixers fan. You know, it's not just because he's played there before. That's where he started a career and really became Lou Will. It's not just because his former head coach that really utilized him the best is there. You know, that's just a couple reasons. But let me talk about what the Sixers really need. Like, you know, Mr. Delusional, he finally said something I agree with. We need a guy that's going to give us consistent scoring off the bench. Now, I like Shake, but you talking about him and Shake off the bench, some guys that can play on and off the ball. I think that's going to be a dangerous backcourt to come off the bench. So when Ben Simmons comes out, we have scoring. So when Josh Richardson comes out, we have scoring. Then, you know, like always reliable, Coach Cam said the Dallas Mavericks. But here's my question with that. When I look at the Mavericks, when I look at their bench, you have Jalen Brunson, you have Burke, you have DeLon Wright, you have Steph Curry. That's a string of guards. You're going to have to get rid of some. You taking him over?
I think they're going to end up moving some of them guards.
You taking him over Seth?
I like Seth.
Because I'm going to be honest, there's no way him and Steph can play together for 20 minutes. There's no way.
They can't. They can't. But I think it depends on what my Mavs do. Because my Mavs, I'm going to be honest, defense is really, we don't play much defense out there. But last year, you know, we were the most efficient team in league history, like, you know, as far as scoring efficiency. So I just think we're going to look to score a whole bunch of points. And I want some defense, but I think we're just going to look to score a whole bunch of points.
That's why he's on here. Let me finish out the rest. Buck, I see he'd be a good fit in Indiana. Oladipo to Philly. I want Oladipo to come to Philly, but there's no way the Pacers are trading for Lou Will because they're trying to get rid of everybody, and that's what I think. But to finish out this list, next, the team that went out and traded for a guy that I said they would in October, the Phoenix Suns. When we were talking about that trade, the Chris Paul to the Suns, was something I said that they needed. They needed bench scoring. Now, for some reason, they let Jamal Crawford go when his last game he gave him 50. But you want to talk about another great six man? Let's talk about Lou Will. Lou Will would fit so perfect coming off the bench. You have, you know, the backcourt of Chris Paul and Devin Booker, and off the bench, you're getting 18 and 5. Oh, my goodness. I mean, he would be a perfect fit for them. Then I have, you know, the Utah Jazz. Freddie said, you know, the Jazz need to do things to get better, and I agree. One thing that they need to do to get better is their bench. Now, you have Jordan Clarkson, but you can have Jordan Clarkson and Lou Will. Man, if you want to have only one player off the bench, you need more than one. You know, Emmanuel Mudiay is trash. You know, I thought he was going to be good, but he's very disappointing. You know, when he made it to the league, I ain't going to call him trash. He's just been disappointing, I will say that. So to replace him with Lou Will, two guys that can give you at least 18 points a night coming off your bench, oh, that's beautiful. And the last team, you know, I talked about they need a bench. They want to trade everybody. They still got some things to move around. Milwaukee Bucks, make a call. If you want to go all out, if you want to finalize your roster, just see if you can get a Lou Will. Because if you add a Lou Will to this team, now you're really talking about somebody off the bench that can give you pure buckets. And that's something that they're needing right now. And if Lou Will is going to be traded away from the Clippers, they can make it happen. But the number one, you see that team, Philadelphia Sixers, make that call, bring Lou Will home so I can post all the pictures me and Lou Will got on the gram.
I'll tell you what, Brandon, you just you were just given a list of teams that you could pick from. I tell you what team really stands out to you whenever you're thinking Lou Williams?
Well, when I was doing some research, there was a 3-team trade I came across, but I think it was so far-fetched I'm not even going to mention it. One team was going to get a whole bunch of assets, but I don't think it's even close to even mentioning. But after listening to Chris and his list of teams, I got to go with the team that's sitting right behind them. I think Philly could use them, and I think the Bucks could use them. I mean, I think Chris nailed it.
Man, I tell you what, Chris, I'm almost upset because I like to every once in a while I like to. You know, people, you four definitely know me, and I know Brandon's trying to, you know, he's getting to know me, being in the comment section and everything. Man, I know you guys know I'm not exactly the NBA guru by any means, but man, I wanted to drop that gem of the Phoenix Suns, man. I wanted to be the guy to say it, but you know what? I tell you what, I really like the idea of Lou Will over in the Phoenix Suns, man. I tell you what, whenever we've talked about that top five, that starting five that's going to be out there for Phoenix, and that backcourt is going to be absolutely amazing now. And I tell you what, the addition of Lou Will is just so nice whenever you're sitting there thinking of Phoenix. I think it really adds a different dimension to their team whenever you're looking at them. I think that'd be really be big for them to be pushing forward. And again, I think I'm going to ride the hot hand there, just because you're out there selling whenever it comes to you're just selling your soul for a championship out there in Milwaukee. I think it kind of adds to it. I think that'd be the other team that I have to look at whenever I'm thinking about Lou Williams, because like you've mentioned, I mean, we've said it multiple times already on this show, that coach likes to play as many players as he can and get into that system. He really likes to get everybody out there, which is odd, but we're going to go with it. So, I mean, why not try to go get somebody like Lou Will? I mean, a 3-time Sixth Man of the Year. I mean, it lets you know the kind of diversity or the kind of versatility he has coming off of the bench and what he can do for a team. So I think that role player out there as Lou Williams would be beneficial to a lot of teams, but I think those are the two teams, in my opinion, that would really benefit more than a lot of the other teams around there in the NBA.
Hey, Will, before you go.
Yeah, what's up?
Lakers, hey man, hey, he was with the Lakers at one point. Hey, KCP if he leave, Avery Bradley if he leave, hey, we need somebody on that bench. Hey, Lou Williams would be a good piece.
I ain't gonna lie, the only reason why I don't like it is because him and Shooter are two small guards that are two offensive guys. You need to look for some defense. You need to look for a guy like Wesley Matthews.
Do you think Schroeder's going to start or come off the bench though?
They're going to try to get a guy like Wesley Matthews, and if you can do that, then you can have Lou Will and Shooter coming off the bench. Maybe I like that, but if Shooter's coming off the bench, then I would like those two guys being a two backcourt. I think that would be nasty. But the problem is, at the end of the game, are both of those guys going to be able to play? That's the question you have to ask yourself.
Fair enough. We talked about the Phoenix Suns. Obviously, they have a lot of young pieces. They have some people like DeAndre Ayton, Devin Booker. Let's talk about some other teams right now that have a really bright future looking at their roster. Let's talk about what team right now, whenever you're looking at it in the NBA, do you think is set up for the most success for the future? I'm going to start with Chris. Let's hear it. What team do you think right now, what organization is set up for a great future?
Now, I come to realize that, and I'm going to stop doing this. I be listing some teams, and I realize I say all the good answers. That's because my knowledge takes me everywhere else. But I'm going to stick with one team, and let me tell you why I believe this team has the best future. No, it's not my Sixers, because we're going to win 3 championships in 4 years. That was a joke. Don't start crying, Freddie, like you usually do. I think the New Orleans Pelicans, in my opinion, have the best future. These guys have 13 draft picks and then first-round draft picks in the next 8 years. You say 7 years, that's a long time. Well, LeBron's at the best of his game right now. James Harden's at the best of his game right now. They're in the only 30s. In 7, years, Anthony Davis is going to be that same age. Giannis is going to be 32. Some of these young guys are going to be coming up in their prime. So 8 years, yes, is a long time, but that's when players are getting into their prime, these young players. Also, when I look at their squad, they have a lot of very good players right now. And Brandon Ingram, and my guy Zion and Lonzo and Josh Hart and Jackson Hayes, they have a good foundation. So not only do they have the draft picks for the next couple of years, but they have a good foundation of young players. So if those guys can keep improving, if they have the right player development coaches to help out Zion's game, to help out Lonzo's game, to make Josh Hart be one of the best two-way players, which I think he will be in the next couple of years in this game, to help Brandon Ingram really be the next Kevin Durant, the guy can score from anywhere on the court. If they do that, their foundation is set. And then with those draft picks, don't make the mistake Boston did and not make the move that you could have did to get a top player. Don't make that mistake. With these draft picks in the next couple of years, fill out your roster, see what players are improving and which ones are not. And then with those draft picks, go ahead and make a move at these top free agent guys. Go ahead and make a move at these guys that want to be traded. They have the trade capital to do it. They have the roster to do it. And I really believe this team in the next 3 to 6 years is going to be one of the best teams in the NBA. And it's not even going to be close. Zion's going to be one of the best players. Brandon Ingram, if he stays, that duo is going to be nasty. With Lonzo running the point guard, which is the playmaker and defender. Like I said, Josh Hart, in my opinion, is going to be one of the best two-way players in the game. And Jackson Hayes, that good center. But if you could find a way to get somebody that's better than them with all these draft capital, then do that. And I think they can. I think they would be great. Don't know if Van Gundy's gonna be the coach for the future. If he evolved his game and let his players, be non-pattern players and do their thing outside of the system, then I think he'd be a great coach for them, honestly, because his X's and O's game is some of the best we ever seen in NBA history.
Freddie, we'll go to you. What team right now in the NBA do you think has a bright future ahead of them?
Better not say the Lakers.
Well, no, we're right now. We're not the future. We're right now. We win now. We right now, baby. Yeah, you already know where we at. I hate this when this happens. Me and Chris
reads my
agrees on a topic. This rarely happens. I'm going with the Pelicans as well. I mean, you traded Anthony Davis last year. You traded Drew Holiday. You got 6 first-round picks just in that trade. The 2 trades alone. You got Brandon Ingram, Lonzo Ball, Eric Bledsoe. I mean, Josh Hart, like Chris said. I mean, hey, if this team wanted to right now, they have an argument where they can go out to James Harden right now.
Oh, for sure.
I mean, they have that argument. They have a lot of trade assets that they can give up. So, I mean, this team, if they don't feel like this young talent is gelling into the players that they want to in the next year or two, they can make a trade for somebody else to team up with Zion. So this team, hey, like Chris said, I don't think that's been mentioned enough, Chris, about this Boston, man, that they had all those draft picks that they had a better chance to get Anthony Davis. So
they messed up.
They just sat down and did nothing. So and I mean there comes a time where if Boston does not improve, I hate to change the subject, but if Boston does not improve, how long does it take for Jason Tatum to say, hey, I want to win. I keep doing this thing, but my team, but this franchise does not want to get better. I want to get up out of there. But to me, just like I said, this Pelicans team, they're young. I think they have the young pieces there. I think they're the right pieces. I'm really high on Lonzo Ball, man. I'm probably higher than most folks that I know. I'm high on Lonzo because I know what Lonzo's about. Yeah, I know what he's about. I know people want to make him out of Steph Curry because of his daddy. They want to make him that shooter. I know he's not the shooter that we want him to be, but I know that he's a dude that I can say, hey, run my offense here. To run this, get these dudes involved, play high quality defense. Hey, rebound the ball. I know what he can do. Yes, he got better on the shot, but he's not a scorer. That's not what he is. He's a traditional point guard.
Coach Cam, we'll move to you. What team, what organization you think has a bright future ahead of them?
Now, I get what you're saying about the Pelicans. Got a whole bunch of draft picks.
Please say the team I want you to say. I hope you. Matter of fact, take the floor. Don't mess it up. Don't mess it up.
No. Because I'm going off a limb a little bit here. Now I understand the Pelicans got the 13 draft picks, but New Orleans, you can lump them in. What can go wrong?
Will go wrong.
Zion, I'm worried, man. I'm worried he's not going to ever really stay healthy. His body type is not fit for his athletic style. It's like
he need to lose 20 pounds, just like Charles Barkley had to do. Once he did that, Charles Barkley was MVP of the league.
Yep, he has to lose that way. He has to be committed to losing that way. He has to find a regimen that works for him. But the team I like, and I think they're trying to make quality moves. I see today that they were trying to get Gordon Hayward, or they didn't play for Gordon Hayward. I like the Atlanta Hawks. I like the Atlanta Hawks moving forward. Trae Young, I give him a lot of slack because I feel like even though their team is, not that great, but I feel like in the Eastern Conference, they need to win more than 24, 25 games. But I think with the healthy Clint Capella, you get John Collins in the front court. They have a good shooter in Kevin Huerter. Now, if Cam Reddish can continue to develop, they got DeAndre Hunter, they got pieces. They got young pieces that can really play. And I would like to see them develop in the year 2. And they got a sixth pick in the draft here. See what they're anxious to do with that. I like the Atlanta Hawks, and I think they could make a major play for their 8th seed, or maybe the 7th seed with the Pacers looking to dismantle that team in the playoffs. Yeah, and the Raptors as well, because you're going to lose Van Fleet probably. So this is a year that I need them to make the playoffs.
All righty. We'll move over to, let's see, I hit you 3. So let's go over to Brandon. Brandon, what do you think when you're looking at an NBA team right now? What organization do you think has the best possible. Best future ahead of them. I got lost for words there.
Well, I'd like to say the Wolves. I mean, with these 2 picks they got this year, if we talk about this next year, hopefully I could say the Wolves. I think with the injuries that Golden State has, and they got the number 2 pick, I can see them probably having another good run in them. But Chris and Freddie, I mean, yeah, Pelicans got a whole bunch of assets to grow that team, So, but I'm going to take my own take. I think the Warriors are going to have something down the road once they get healthy.
Fair enough. I think I'm going to take a little bit of I'm going to take a little bit of my own branch as well. I'm going to go with a team that hasn't been mentioned. And Chris, I want to know, just because you know quite a bit more than I do, I want to know if this was one of your teams that you said that you could have had on this list. I'm going to go with Denver. I'm going to go with the Denver Nuggets. I really like the combination of Jamal Murray and Nikola Jokic. I think Nikola Jokic is already a top 2 big in the game. I think Jamal Murray is an outstanding point guard, one of the better ones in the game as well. I think whenever it comes down to it, these two are really set up for success. And I think whenever you look at it, they have some other down players right now that are rolling on their bench, such as a Michael Porter Jr. that could have a lot of success later on down the road. I think if he could have been a key piece in the bubble whenever he was playing, I think that addition with him could make for a lot of teams upset, could be definitely out there to really upset some teams if he's playing up to the level that he could play at. I really like this Denver team, man. I really like what they have going on out there. And I think that this team, if they can keep with their core around, I think this could really be something that really could shock a lot of teams out there in the West. I think they could be a really big force to be reckoned with, especially if they can keep everybody. And so it's going to come down to that. But right now, whenever I'm looking at a young core, I mean, Nikola Jokic and Jamal Murray about as young as it gets, especially whenever it comes down to success that they're already having in the league. And whenever you got to look at it in the future, if they're going to keep it up, I mean, Denver's got something to work with.
Will, don't just like this team, love this team. This team is the second best team right now in the West. They're better than the Clippers. I feel like I'm the only person in the planet that picked them to beat the Clippers in 7 when the playoffs started. Everybody called me crazy, but they have what it takes. Michael Porter Jr. in the seeding games was great, but why it was such a decline in the playoffs? Because team realized he's young, so he's going to have problems on the defensive end, and he still has to figure out the role in the offensive. And that's the only thing. He's going to be great, but when you're that young, coming, right out of college, defense is going to be somewhat a problem. But he's going to pick it up next year, and that's something he's going to work on because he wants to be great. And honestly, that big 3 right there, you talking about future big 3s. Unless that the only team I feel like that can compete with that young big 3s if Giannis goes to the Mavericks. Other than that, no young big 3 is going to compete with that. I mean, Michael Porter Jr., Coach Cam, you might have a big 3. That I'm not. What's the big 3 that you were talking about?
No. I love the big 3. I love Michael Porter Jr. I knew when he got healthy, he will go up.
Dog. They talking about next KD. He's the one.
Yeah, absolutely. Only thing I'm worried about, they'll probably lose Jeremy Grant. That's a big loss. The 4 position, I'm Millsap, they really got to upgrade that 4 position. But I like the lie. But what about Bol? I mean,
I would. That's what. I would keep Bol for the bench. I would have to keep Bol. I feel like he's going to have. I keep him over Plumlee. I'm keeping Grant, and then you're going to have to you probably going to trade away Will Barton more than likely. But then which is sad, but that's why you have Michael Porter Jr. Porter Jr. is going to take that role. So Will, don't just like this team, love this team. And I'll get more into the Nuggets. On Thursday I'll probably talk about it more. But this team, I'm glad that you talk about it. They're going to be one of the best teams in the NBA next season, not in the next couple of years, but next season. They're going to give Freddie's Lakers a run for their money.
Maybe I'm finding my fandom. Maybe we're going to find my way to Denver. But no reason as to why, other than the fact that I really like this core. But I think this core definitely has something to be reckoned with. But let's wrap it up here, folks. This is going to be our last topic here. And I think we got to end with the classic 1 through 3 ranking that we have been doing here as of late. We got 3 players here in the NBA. We're going to be ranking them 1 through 3. We're going to start off with CJ McCollum. I know he was one of them. What were the other 2? I'm actually kind of blanking. I don't know why.
CJ McCollum. DeMar DeRozan, and Jaylen Brown. Those are 3 players we're going to be ranking, and I'm 100% confident none of our lists are going to be the same.
I had them all written down from yesterday's, but I forgot to write them down for today. So CJ McCollum, Jaylen Brown, DeMar DeRozan. We'll start with you, Freddie. Let's hear it. Where do you rank these 3 among each other?
Number 1, CJ McCollum. Why? He's with Dame Dollar. He's with Damian Lillard. But guess what? This dude is a walking bucket. He can score from the 3-point line, the mid-range. He can do it all. Number 2, Jaylen Brown. Why? He's young. I didn't put DeMar DeRozan over him because why? He can't shoot the 3. Jaylen Brown can knock down that 3. He can still score. And number 3, DeMar DeRozan. You talking about a mid-range specialist? This dude can kill you from the mid-range. He's like a lesser version of Kyrie of Kawhi Leonard, but I'm talking about on the offensive end. Talking about mid-range. If you put him in the mid-range, he can score all day, every day. That's
Chris yet again is holding himself back from vomiting all over his camera. We're going to go over down to him. What is your top 3 among these players?
I mean, this is why I really call Freddie Mr. Delusional. I think this dude doesn't watch basketball at all. And I'm staying calm because there's some things and words I want to say, but I can't say because I want to make sure I keep it PG for our listeners. Now, number 3, I have, and this is no disrespect to all these guys. I think all these guys are great. But number 3, I have CJ McCollum. Why? Because when I look at all 3 of these players, I'm looking at their overall game. One thing that he lacks compared to these other 2 guys is the defensive end. Now, we know CJ McCollum can score with the best of them. He can make plays. But if he's not scoring, what benefit does he have for you in a basketball court? That's just the sad reality, and that's why I feel like Coach Cam said that earlier about being a small backcourt, because if he could defend, then it wouldn't be a problem. But with him being small, then that's a problem. I love CJ McCollum. This dude can get buckets anywhere on the court. But like I said, if he's not defending nobody, what's his value? Number 2, I have Jaylen Brown. Young guy, that game is going to take over this world. Everyone wants to talk about, Jason Tatum is the best player. Jason Tatum is the best player. Jaylen Brown is just not going to give that title up easily. Jaylen Brown, game after game, wants to prove why he feels like he's the best player. Now, is he the best player? That's for y'all to decide. Personally, I think Jaylen Brown is number 2 to Jason Tatum right now. But you want to talk about a two-way guy in this game. That offensive game is improving since, year 1 to right now, his offensive game take off. Everybody thought he was just going to be a guy that dunks the ball and dunks the ball and dunks the ball. But his game's taking off. His mid-range is taking off. He's being able to shoot the ball a little bit better. His footwork is getting better. The number 1, I have DeMar DeRozan. Freddie, you make that face. Why do I have DeMar DeRozan? Because I feel like this dude's a better, listen, I'm taking him over all 3 of these guys without a doubt. Mid-range assassin, yes. You want to talk about, he doesn't shoot threes. He doesn't shoot threes. It's because he doesn't attempt them. You really think a guy that can shoot the mid-range that well, if he decided to shoot 3-pointers like Dwayne Wade did at the end of his career, and D-Wade was knocking him down. D-Wade didn't attempt threes in the beginning of his career. He was so dominant in the mid-range, he didn't have to. DeMar DeRozan is so dominant everywhere else, he doesn't have to shoot threes to be successful on a basketball court. And this guy is still in his prime. This guy is shooting over 50+% right now. DeMar DeRozan is soft. I don't know. I seen him bully a lot of people, so I don't know about that one. DeMar DeRozan is proven that he's a great basketball player in this game. And just like all the greats that didn't win a championship, when LeBron was in the East, that's the same thing what happened with DeMar DeRozan. The reason why Toronto Raptors went to the East, I promise you if LeBron was still in the East, the Raptors weren't beating them. So if DeMar DeRozan's on that team and LeBron left the East, DeMar DeRozan is going to lead him to the championship. He might not be the defender Kawhi is, but he damn sure can get buckets like Kawhi. Y'all better pay attention.
Ladies and gentlemen, you guys have a good night because Chris is Mr. Delusional. Y'all have a good night.
All right, bye, Freddie.
Whoa, oh wow, okay, he did. He did leave.
I tried to leave.
All right, we'll take it easy. Coach Cam, we'll move over to you. Let's get your ranking on these 3 men.
Oh man, I normally ride with my guy Chris on this, but man, I don't know if I can go with. I don't know if I go with that. I got 3. I got DeMar DeRozan at 3, and the reason why is because I would never forget in Toronto, and I understand it was against LeBron, but I've never seen a superstar player, or a star player of his caliber get their heart ripped out like DeMar DeRozan. He sat up there and said in the interview, well, I mean, it's just LeBron. Man, once I heard that, I'm off on DeMar DeRozan. That shows no heart. It shows you're soft, and I can't ride with you. Once you go on the camera in front of ESPN, in front of analysts, and say, "Well, it's LeBron. I don't know what to do." You're out of here. You're third. You're third on any list. You're gonna be last on any list that I have. Forget that he can't shoot the three. It's just the fact that he ain't had no heart out there in Toronto, and he let another human being rip his heart out of his chest.
Another man, not even another man. But I feel you on that.
Yeah,
That-
I mean,
I
I
feel you
can't
on
do that. I can't do that.
That's the only solid argument.
And number two, I got Christian James McCollum. I like his game. It's smooth. He can get where he want to go on the court. Can get any shot he want on the court. Like I said, I like them two out there. I just don't think they can win long term. But they smooth. I mean, his game is smooth, and I like what he bring on the offensive end. He's suspect on defense, but I know he can score buckets. And number one, I got Jaylen Brown. I like Jaylen Brown. I like his two-way ability. He's showing that he can, he's shooting the ball better and better each year. That was one of my concerns about Jaylen Brown, but now he's starting to knock down the three. And, he showed, in the playoffs, at times that, hey, like he was the alpha male sometimes where they needed a bucket. Jaylen Brown came up big in moments and in spots. So I got Jaylen Brown number one. I think he's going to continue to get better and better playing alongside Jason Tatum. I just think that one hiccup year that both of them had was due to Kyrie. I really do. I think now since he's off the team, you're going to see them two guys continue to play. Jason Tatum and Brown continue to elevate their games. And, you're going to see Jaylen Brown is one of the premier two-way players in this league.
For sure. I can agree with that list only because your reasoning behind DeMar DeRozan, I can respect that. No man should ever take away your confidence ever in life.
You a star yourself.
You a grown man. No man. We're not ever gonna get into that on this show.
Right.
We're not even gonna do that.
Well, I tell you what, Chris said that he doesn't think any of these lists are going to be the same, and so far he's 3 for 3 on that comment. So we're going to move over to Brandon. Where do you stand on these three players right here?
Well, I think Cam nailed it with DeRozan. I mean, I had him number 3 myself, and actually when Cam said that comment, I remember sitting there and watching, the post game, and I just thought, I'm like, dude, you're a pro basketball player, and you're going to just sit there and be like, oh, it's just LeBron, and I mean, yeah, you probably lost some respect out of a lot of NBA fans. Second one, I had McCollum. Honestly, just like Will, NBA is not my forte, so I kind of did last-minute research. But I had Brown number 1 mainly just because he was younger. I think he's got some upside to him. So and what Cam said, I agree with. So I had the same 3 as Cam did.
I'm gonna go a little bit different myself. I'm gonna separate myself a little bit. I'm very similar with everybody, of course, but my list is different. I haven't heard mine yet. So number 3, I'm gonna start with CJ McCollum. I don't like. Whenever it comes down to it, whenever I'm looking at these 3, I'm talking about an all-around game. And yes, whenever CJ looks at it, he's got the offensive side of the ball, but everybody here knows that defensive side is suspect. Mm-hmm. We know what we're going to get out of CJ McCollum. We're going to get buckets. He's a walking bucket, but man, he's a liability when it comes to the defensive side of the ball. Number 2, I'm going to go DeMar DeRozan. I'll take his mid-range shot over a lot of people in the NBA, man. I tell you what, the guy's a cold-blooded killer inside the perimeter. I think whenever it comes down to it, he's just a hell of a shot. Shooting over 50% inside the field. I think that should let you know exactly what he's kind of putting up, because he's not always going to be that guy who's going to drive into the lane for you. But I tell you what, if he's still shooting over 50%, he's got to be hitting down those mid-range. And so I'm going to take DeMar as 2, and I'm going to put Jaylen Brown as number 1. Whenever I'm looking at it, all-around game, whenever you need that three-point shot, whenever you need a mid-range shot, if you need somebody to finish, if you need somebody to play defensively, I think whenever it comes down to it, I think he's the great package between the 3 of them. I think whenever it comes down to it, there's no more complete player on both sides of the ball whenever you're looking at these 3 names. Jaylen Brown is arguably one of the better he's obviously one of the better players on the Celtics, and he really pushes Jason Tatum to say the best player on the Celtics. And he's really young. He's got a lot of game up and coming. We haven't seen him around in the NBA too long. He's just starting to get his feet wet and really starting to figure out what kind of game that he's going to play. I think whenever it comes down later to it, I think Jaylen Brown's going to be one of the best at his position. And so that'll bring it to the end of ASAP Real Talk for today's topics. I tell you what, man, another hell of an episode. Thanks everybody for joining in the comment section, for viewing at home. I mean, everybody, we really appreciate everybody being involved. And just another great episode. We're going to see everybody Thursday. Actually, I think we have Freddie. Don't we have a draft episode coming up here in between?
Yeah, tomorrow at the beginning of the draft, tune in to All Sports All Plays. We're doing a live coverage of the 2020 NBA draft. You have your dude Coach Cam on there. You have your dude Chris Brown. You have me, Jay, and many more from the network. Ooh, you do not want to miss out.
It's looking like an ASAP All-Star show tomorrow for the NBA draft. And I tell you what, man, you think we're not going to come with the topics on Thursday talking about this NBA draft? I mean, you must be mistaken. You haven't seen ASAP yet. So I tell you what, we'll see you on Thursday after the draft, and we'll have some recaps for you. So for Real Talk and everybody else, anybody else have closing words for him?
Yeah, I just want to say thank you, everybody. In the comment section, keep liking the video. Make sure you share the video, share the page, like the page. I just want to say thank you all. Y'all making a great case to be that viewer of the month to get that free T-shirt. And just thank you all for the support. We really appreciate it over here at ASAP Network.
All right. For everybody else, for Brandon, for Freddie, for Cam, and Chris, I've been Will, and this has been.
Yeah, I got something quick.
What's up?
Hey, for everybody, whoever wins that player or viewer of the month, you're welcome.
But yeah, for everybody involved, I tell you what, man, for everybody involved in the comment section, for everybody involved here, everybody involved at ASAP, this has been Real Talk, and we'll see you again on Thursday. Y'all take it easy.
Peace.
All sports, all plays. Yeah. All sports, all plays. All sports, all plays.